story that goes back all the way to RLCS Season 9. A lot of history between these two teams, but it's finally time for us to settle it. And we've also brought in extra talent. CJ, not good enough to play, but you're finally here as a caster.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Yummy. It's great to be here, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing at home? Obviously, it's just disappointing that it is online. It's disappointing that I'm not playing in it. But here we have it, the top two teams from OCE, Ground Zero and Cringe Society. I can't wait. I'm pumped. Jake, I know you're excited too, mate.
CJ, I'm very pumped to have you here. I think it's going to be an awesome cast, and I think the viewers are going to be pumped as well.
Looking at these teams, the major thing that pointed out to me by Ground Zero, where they want to win this. It's $70,000. Whoever wins this will take home the biggest prize pool in OCE history for a single tournament, even regarding that Season 6 fourth place run that was done by Torsos earlier.
I mean, yeah, it looks pretty exciting, Yummy, but at the same time, Cringe Society obviously do want to win as well. And for me, I have to come with an unbiased point of view. I know everyone at home, they're all thinking Ground Zero. This could be an easy 8-0. The casters, Gibbs, he probably doesn't even watch OCE, but he's predicted the 8-0. I have to think with the month off, I'm coming with the unbiased view, the Cringe Society, they're a red-hot chance here in this final. As Decker does open it up with the first goal of the RLCS OCE Championships.
Yeah, and Decker's been really big for Cringe Society, and it's good to see him showing up already, not being too far back like we've sometimes seen, showing up to get the first goal here.
And it's huge for them. They need a great start. Cringe Society, they've been very consistent. They start off strong most of the time. Ground Zero, they are slow starters. They do struggle often in that first couple of games, maybe the first series of the day. So this is going to be Cringe Society's best chance to take them down.
You make a great point, and I think that if Cringe Society are going to get this win here in this best of 3, best of 7s here, it has to be this first series. Ground Zero, they do start slow, and I can see this going to 6 or 7 games, even if Ground Zero do take this one out.
Yeah, and honestly, like you're saying, CJ, it's been a month, and maybe the expectations have changed a bit. I was honestly expecting Ground Zero to come in super confident and maybe a bit complacent, but hearing the interview, Jim is so humble and probably a good impact on the guys.
I actually think that there's a lot on the line here for Ground Zero. Express said to me that this season's a failure if they don't come out winning the majority of the prize pool. With $100,000 on the line, currently, Cringe Society are 40K behind. The difference would be made if Cringe Society win here, they would make as much as Ground Zero. If Ground Zero win, they make huge amounts of money, and Amphis popping off.
Have a look at the musty flick from Amphis, and none other than Express doing what he has done for the entire year on this side, getting the bump, playing that disruptor role. Ground Zero get that equalizer.
And we're seeing Ground Zero coming out as confident as ever. We talked about it. It's hard to get those demos, and Decker almost getting another chance. We're seeing a lot of ground play in this first opening match.
That's a good start, and Drippe actually trying to continue something here, but Decker gets bumped out of the way. They were looking for a counterattack, a very Cringe Society style where they defend and get it to the other end. A play that I think CJ would do them quite well against Ground Zero if they're a little bit off tune.
100%. And as we said, this first series is where they have to get him here. Evans does put the shot on Jules. Great little save there. But, I mean, it's got to be a close series. They've had a month off. At Cringe Society, you've got a month. All you have to do is prepare for one team, Yummy. It's different to any other tournament where you've got a few other teams that are, in the mix. And, I mean, Jake, for you, if you have a month to prepare for one team, surely you can close that gap a little bit.
Yeah, I think as well, Ground Zero really struggled after the Christmas break in the season as well. So I think they're a team that really relies on their hard working kind of style. I know Torsos, absolute grinder. So I think Cringe Society, like you're saying, certainly the format is favoring them.
Well, that's the funny thing as well, is that even when they are playing badly, they've still been able to get championships. They've won so many championships, 7 over the course of the last 2 splits. And in fact, in the last 2 splits, they only lost 2 in total. So they're actually incredibly ahead. If Ground Zero had not got a single point from that fall split, they still would have come out first seed. CJ, how'd you let them win every single one?
Yeah, look, just, full credit to Ground Zero. Just a great team, and really just nothing could be done. As another bump comes out, Torsos gets the dunk, putting Ground Zero in the lead. Stop talking about me. We've got two teams here. I'm not here. Stop it. I'm getting sad.
I love this play from Ground Zero, though. Their bump game has been phenomenal. And in fact, Torsos is usually involved in these bumps. Torsos and Amphis. Torsos used to be a player who never, ever bumped. And now in RLCSX, he is the highest bumper on this pitch.
And look, CJ, we just can't help but just bring you up, man, because I think it was this bumping that really stopped you guys from taking down Ground Zero, because honestly, I think every team has really struggled with it, and it's really unique to them.
Yeah, look, Ground Zero, I joke about it, but they are a seriously strong side. We certainly we had some tough matchups against them. We were fortunate enough to get a couple of wins, and I think when you are beating Ground Zero, you have to play confident. I mean, if you just sit back, you've got players like Amphis. As we see with him, he just has no nerves at all. I don't know what's going on with the guy. He's a robot. He just doesn't care. Maybe money isn't a factor for him at the ripe age of 7 or however old he is. Just not fazed by the pressure, and that's pretty exciting to see.
Hey, it's great to see as well that both teams are playing pretty confidently overall. As there's another opening, another demo leads to the goal, and it is Ground Zero just plowing forward.
And another dribble off the back of Amphis as well, getting the demo as well. You don't normally see him getting the demo, so if he can bring that in as well, I think Ground Zero will be very threatening for Cringe Society.
What I love is that we have these two teams that have played together over and over again. 13-0 in terms of series wins goes to Ground Zero, but there's so much room for those 5-6 weeks to make a huge difference. Especially for me, I want to see Jules have a huge impact here for Cringe Society. We know that he can pop off. CJ, you know that he can pop off as you used to team with him. Mm-hmm. And I don't really feel like we've seen that from him on the Cringe Society roster.
I mean, he can always pull a series out of nowhere where he can genuinely carry his team against any team in the world. And that's what they need. They need that. They need something special here, Cringe Society. They need a little bit of X factor. I know the NA and the EU casters, and I guess the people around the world, they're probably looking at Drippe as a player on Cringe Society to perhaps be popping off. But absolutely. But obviously, Jules has that X factor that perhaps a lot of people haven't quite seen yet. There's always something that can come out here. But in that first game, Jake, I mean, Ground Zero, this is worrying for Cringe Society, because if Ground Zero can start as strongly as they have here with 10 shots to 3, it is worrying for the rest of these series.
Well, I think whenever Amphis is playing well, just no one stands a chance against Ground Zero. And Amphis having a big first game, he's also shown that, when he starts a series, he generally keeps it up as well. So Cringe Society, like you guys have been saying, I think it's really up to the players like Jules or Drippe to step up.
It is really scary as well, because we obviously talked about Cringe Society's greatest hope is the fact that they have had all this time to prepare. But during this 5-6 weeks, as Gibbs was saying, they didn't really have many scrim opponents. Everybody is either changing teams or getting ready for IWO, and they haven't had that same quality of practice that they would have had throughout the regular season.
I mean, it has certainly been tough for them, but I guess it's what you've got to do. They were both these teams are in the same situation. They haven't quite had the practice that would have perhaps had in the regular season. But I mean, for me, we didn't really talk about our predictions later. It's hard to say after Ground Zero won the first game, but I put Amphis in the top 15 players in the world. I think that if he pops off, this team, that's when they could be world beaters, this Ground Zero team. They could take it up to any of the international teams. So to see him already hitting musty flicks in game 1 of this series, that is scary for Cringe Society.
Yeah, he is the best player when they're playing the best, or when he's at his best. He's had a bit of a rough 2021, especially at the start, because I think school really picked up for him, as well as soccer, or football, as the Europeans would say. And that really affected his chance to practice.
Well, CJ, we had our predictions. You didn't get the chance with those percentages. I think I got 90. I don't remember exactly what you got, Yummy, but what would you put?
I was originally going to do 90, and I think you snaked it, so I went to 95 or something like that. I think that might even be somewhat unfair, but you can't go against the fact that even in games, Ground Zero have 3 times as many game wins as Cringe Society, and they've only gone to the final game, I think, once or twice in the 13 series that they've played, both in RLCS and in the RLO Masters.
It is a pretty crazy statistic. Now for me.
Yeah.
Now for me. All right.
Well,
Listen here, Yummy. All right. You just let me take the reins for a second, because I've been being able to get my prediction out. Now, listen, if this was played straight after the last major, this is 100% for Ground Zero. I'm going to give Cringe Society 5% purely for the month that we've had in between, because that is the
bold
there
prediction
was no
now
way
that there's one game in the win as well.
Yeah, well, 100. Yeah, I guess it makes me a little bit more
generous.
5%
as well.
5%. That's all I'm giving them.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the problem is that these guys, this is the team that Cringe Society are the team that won RLCS Season 9. It took them a long time to get back together, but Jules and Decker were so dominant. They were the 2 best players in OCE Express. What was that?
Express of today of all days. Today, when OCE for once shouldn't be a meme. He has owned gold in true regional fashion. Oh my goodness. What a first goal for Cringe Society. Express, please.
Oh, just a beautiful redirect from Jules. You can't stop those from going.
Oh, no. Please no more of that, especially from Express. A Drippe underneath. Torsos pre-jumped over the top.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the best defense from Tors. Clearly didn't see the ground pinch coming or respected some sort of top corner pinch shot out of nowhere, but Drip does get on underneath. This is a handy 2-goal lead for Cringe Society here, and they have to hold this. They have to.
Honestly, I'm impressed Torsos somehow missed that, honestly. He did a great job, obviously, respecting Drippe. And again, another one going in from Decker. Cringe Society trying to show they're a bit more than 5%.
Yeah, big clear from Decker all the way down. Ground Zero do get caught out sometimes, pushing too far up, and that leads into the counter-attack playstyle that Cringe Society like to play.
It is good to see Torsos still having a little bit of a smile, though. He's clearly enjoying himself here. I mean, again, there is a lot of money on the line, but just what a great opportunity to showcase what sort of talent is coming out of the OCE region. We've got a lot of people here watching, a lot of eyes on the region, and Express's own goal, it didn't do wonders for the region so far. So now it's going to be up to them to really showcase something else other than an own goal.
And for those at home who talk a lot about Drippe, he has been the highest goal scorer and assister in Fall Split and highest goal scorer in the Winter Split, and he only got into number 3 in both goals in the final split, but he has still been such a major force for this team, and we're starting to see it in this game.
You just see it from Drippe where he just finds these angles and just absolutely smashes it into the top corner. Like we saw before, Torsos just respecting him so much, but you have to against Drippe. He's really so unique in the region at just finding those amazing shots.
He also has managed to step up a lot more in the forward half. I think when Cringe Society have struggled, they've had Drippe sort of in that third man stuck there. That's not where he's his best, in my opinion. He's best when he's got the chance to shoot, as you said. And, well, it looks like he is getting a bit more aggressive time, except Decker fortunately touched that away from him.
Jules now takes this up on the wall, and I just think this is what Cringe Society do best. I know that Kami, not sure if you've heard of him, one of those plays in OCE. He calls Cringe Society just very, very boring, very default sort of team. But this is what they do so well. They get that little lead, Jake, and they just able to hold it in. They're just able to just keep that ball in Ground Zero's half. They're not over-committing, and they're just trying to lock down that win. They don't really worry about scoring another goal.
Yeah, they've always had very low-scoring games, which me and Yami have been pretty critical of all season. But at the same time, like you're saying, CJ, their defense is honestly the best in the region when they do have those leads to hold on to.
To be fair, though, they have got a lot more aggressive in the spring split, and that, I think, is what led them to even making it here by taking that major victory over the Renegades in Game 7, a really tight one. And so that's the sign of greatness. It always goes in there. It wouldn't have mattered as the ball is going to go hit the ground, and Cringe Society have tied it up.
Huge game here for Cringe Society. It's one they needed as well. And I think for them, they really just caught out. Well, obviously the own goal didn't help. Let's not beat around the bush here. The own goal to open up game number 2 here didn't quite go to plan for Ground Zero. But the way that Cringe's side were able to apply the pressure, they didn't just get that one goal. They kept pushing for more and were able to create a few solo play opportunities as well. That was pretty impressive. So a strong game, and to shut out Ground Zero in any game is, it's huge.
Honestly, to look at Ground Zero, though, they were missing the things that got them the goals in the first game. We didn't see any demos. We didn't really see as many dribble plays coming out of them either. It was really Cringe Society kind of forcing the game into that quote-unquote kind of boring style of just rotations and getting the goals in.
Cringe Society have now equalized, and I know a few people out there were predicting an 8-0 for Ground Zero. This is exactly what we were talking about when it comes to the chance for Cringe Society to win. If they just continue reeling Ground Zero into that defensive half, and if they're able to stave off that attack, then they will be scoring goals at the other end. They had equal shots, but Cringe Society 3-0.
And I mean, everyone predicting the 8-0, the 4-0-4-0 sweep, the first one of the championships. Well, unfortunately, you're just wrong. That's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the overall result is still probably on the money with the predictions, but Cringe Society, they are that kind of team. Like we're saying, if they do get that first goal, they're so hard to get back, and that is really helping them in keeping these series close as well.
That's good. There's a potential here, given a 3-0 and how strong that last game was from Cringe Society, that they can wrest control and take that through the rest of the series. We'll see if that is the case, as Drippe had to defend that by himself. There's a problem as there are 2 members of Ground Zero ready for the attack.
Now, Jake, I want to pose a question to you, right? Because me and Yummy, we had a little bit of deliberation on the side of Ground Zero as to who is the best player on this team. Obviously, a star-started lineup, and every player has their role now. I just have to argue that Amphis he's the X factor of the team, and he's the reason why they are so good. Yummy, however, has gone the consistency factor of Torsos, just the way that he's always plays up to such a high standard. Jake, tell me, who is the best player on this team in your opinion?
Well, honestly, I've always been a big Torsos fanboy. I think he was just incredible, especially Split 2. Coming in, but recently, CJ, I got to agree more with you. I think Amphis has really developed that consistency as well. So he's that player that gets those crazy goals, such high impact, but he's also very solid rotationally now as well. So I'd have to give it to Amphis.
And Amphis as well had a huge major. I mean, he was by far the best player in the major as well. But to me, Torsos has been the reason they've gotten all these wins when they're not playing well. He's a huge clutch factor, and he always has been on every team that he's been on. I think he's the reason that OCE have been on the map.
I mean, I have to agree, and he's probably the most exciting thing everyone talks about to come out of OCE since probably, you might say peak Drippe back on the day before he, cruelly left the region and just left us for dead to join the Evil Geniuses over in NA. So, that's on him, but here we go. Here's an opening. Torsos got to get the first goal here of game number 3. A little bit of a mistake, a little bit of a tight save coming out from Cringe. They couldn't quite get it back.
Yeah, Jules not quite able to get the touch he wanted, and Torsos not letting him get away with that for a second, making sure he gets his goal on the board.
Bit of a shame for Jules too, because I feel like 9 times out of 10 he makes that miracle save, and today he just misses getting that up to the crossbar. If we go back to Amphis as well, he is the youngest player and the most rookie player on the pitch at the moment. I mean, he only came out in 2020. It's kind of that, those people who follow NA, the Justin story. He came out 2020, kind of out of nowhere, very mechanical, on a team that did quite well, but wasn't considered one of the top. And then he gets picked up by a team, and since then has been really dominant.
Yeah, he's kind of surrounded by grandpas of the region, honestly. Deca was kind of a similar case around 2018, 2019, but it's really Amphis that's really been that new player to come out and really join the top ranks.
Well, it's funny to me because Deca still feels like that younger player, but he's been here around the block for quite a while, and he's been to Worlds, so you really can't consider him anything but a veteran at this point.
100%. And I mean, Look, the elephant in the room, the person we have to talk about here is Express. I mean, this man, he is doing the work that no one else wants to on this team. He's, if they had anyone else, it's hard to, you don't even know how good that could be. Obviously, Amphis and Torso, they've got such offensive firepower, but Express might just be one of the best third men, one of the best aggressors as well that he probably doesn't get credit for, Yummy, is when just the work that he does down the pitch with his bumps, with his boost steals, just being an absolute nuisance. I know that playing him, that's one of his probably biggest strengths, let alone his defense.
Well, with NRG as number one in NA, it kind of reminds me of Garrett G Express. Very much can play all positions, really solid all around.
Oh no.
And if you give him that room up front, he's great, but Jules has got a sneaky easy one.
Yeah, oh no, indeed. I think Torsos just hitting the ball against his side wall. And, we were saying just how good Cringe Society are at holding their leads, but it's something Ground Zero haven't been known for. And they've kind of let a cheeky one slip with only a minute remaining.
Don't want to let Cringe Society get the lead in this one.
Look, it's a bit of a rough touch from Torsen, probably one that we wouldn't expect either. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the nerves are like for these two teams. You just have to feel like Ground Zero be so confident. And I have to give a shout out as well while we're just, glossing over the entire roster of Ground Zero. Have to give a shout out quickly to Jimmer. I mean, he's probably, this roster, Amphis, stop it. Stop it. Flip reset, air dribble off the crossbar. I mean, this is why he's the best player on the team.
This is such an incredible play. With the dribble to follow it up. Mwah.
Just beautiful from Amphis. And like we said, he showed up in game one, a little bit quiet in game two, but generally when he's playing like this, he shows up like it the whole day.
Doesn't get better than that too. And that's a scary sign if Amphis is playing his best, and that's a bump. Amphis finds the nets. That is a third goal for Ground Zero.
I mean, just right on cue there. The Ground Zero bump plays coming in hot. Drippe, and he was no hope there as soon as Torsos was going for him. And this is the trust that comes out from Ground Zero time after time. As soon as there's a shot coming on, one of them is just bombing into the opposition net to try and get a bump, try and disrupt that defense. And it just, Jake, it is crazy how much this works for this team.
No, you can see how pumped Torsos was. He got the bump there because it wasn't an easy one. And another goal, Ground Zero cleaning this one out. But Ground Zero really, they all learn from each other. We said Express, amazing at bumps. But you see, it's like Torsos watching, picking that up. And it's got to be so hard to play against.
The funny thing is, it was Cringe Society that taught Torsos that bumping game. Before they kicked him, they gave Torsos the tools in the shed. They kind of went to a more SSG type play style. It was more solo play oriented and more bump oriented at the time. And Torsos has kept that through his time in Ground Zero now.
I mean, that's a great point. As Jules gets a little equalizer, no, not an equalizer. Let's call it a momentum shifter. Perhaps a little momentum shifter into the next game. Maybe a little confidence booster for Jules as well, as he's such a confidence player. But Ground Zero looking so solid. And as I was saying before, Jake Jimmer, he has been just huge for this Ground Zero team. And I'd probably say that Ground Zero, to their credit, were probably the first team to really go to that next level in terms of, getting sleek, getting performance coaches, looking at their mindset, and perhaps getting a coach that focuses less on gameplay and more about, perhaps, I don't know, it sounds cheesy, but, who they are as people and working on their connection as a team and their cohesiveness and just their relationships, Jake.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the ball touches quickly before we talk more about Jimmy. You can see Express getting half the ball touches of Torsos and Amphis, but it's really just his role. It's what makes this team so strong that he is able to do that. But back to Jimmer, I think, like you're saying, CJ, they've had such good consistency as a team, and I think you really do have to give a lot of credit to Jimmer in helping them show up mentally for every series.
Yeah, big shout out to Daniel Bonner, who is a sleep psychologist brought on. And I think if you're any team now, Ground Zero have set a standard with their victories, with the control, with the amount of support they get from their org, that you need to have a psychologist, preferably a sleep psychologist, on board to get every single advantage that you can get, whether it is through proper sleep before a competition or, things like caffeine intake and all that prep that goes in well before that allows you to mentally be stronger than everyone else.
I mean, there's certainly a lot of other, extra steps you can take in terms of being a complete Rocket League team, in terms of being a better Rocket League player and a better teammate. And I think that's where Jimmer, And as you said, Dan Bonner, shout out to those guys. They've been huge. Check them out on the socials if you'd like, because they're doing a lot of work, and they're doing a lot of work just for the OCE scene in general, not just Ground Zero. Here we go, Jules, double touch, do it. Great little save there from Ground Zero. That could have been a huge start for Cringe Shake if they were able to just get a nice little solo play here.
Yeah, look, we're seeing Jules really step up, and it's what he joined this team to do. He wanted to be that star player. We've seen bits of it, and you can start to see it now, and especially at the end of that last game, the big counterattack with Jules finishing it off. I think that's what Cringe Society are going to need, seeing that they are that more defensive team.
I do love seeing it from Jules, but I think it is coming somewhat at the cost of Drippe in the last couple of games. So as long as Drippe gains that confidence too, because we know Decker can play a really good third man at the same time. And there we go. No! Just saved out by Torsos on the line.
Huge save there, and I 100% agree with you. It seems like Drip's sort of playing a little bit of a third man role now. Jules sort of feeling himself, which can be a worrying thing for either side, depending on what really he does, because he's a wild card. He can really hurt your team, or he can really help. So it's good to see. But that's a great job from Express. Drippe and Jules getting caught out on the sidewall there and just getting bamboozled by this touch off the wall.
Yeah, just getting a bit confused by Express. You can see Express having the tricks of his own as well. So many solo plays bouncing back and forth, and Ground Zero, they're in a chance with another lead, and they're going to be wanting to keep hold of this one.
And the defense was faked out by Torsos, and that has, in my opinion, been the biggest strength of Ground Zero. Their comms have allowed them to have crazy synergies. This is a play as well where they go for the air dribble across, and it's a goal! God. That is teamwork to a T.
God, I mean, like you're saying, just the comms here, knowing that Torsos is going to get a flip reset, trusting that, waiting for it, even somehow reading that extra little touch Torsos gets. CJ, how do you even defend against that?
I feel like Express almost pre-jumped that. That's how much confidence he had in Torsos's flip reset. I mean, that was the perfect setup play, and it seems crazy, but if you don't watch this region, this is what Ground Zero do on a regular basis. The pre-jumps, the flips, but there we go. Decker does get the first one on the board, and a little bit of maybe a momentum shift here for Cringe.
All of Ground Zero are really pushing forward to turn that into an attack. That was a bit dangerous as Decker came in, had full confidence in himself despite his two teammates being pushed up.
And you can see how aggressive Cringe Society were, especially Jules there. You wouldn't normally expect to see anyone that far forward, and it caught off Ground Zero. And again, it's this aggressive Jules that's really helping them get goals on the board.
Chance here for Torsos as well with the air dribble, but doesn't quite get enough power on it. It is going to be a solid attacking opportunity now for Ground Zero. They're just putting the pressure on, forcing the boost away from the Cringe Society defense. We've seen the ball go high over and over again, but Express plays patient, knowing that Drippe can do a lot with that ball. It doesn't matter. You get a little bit of time for Cringe Society. It goes straight back into Ground Zero's hands.
I mean, just seeing how close Amphis is there, waiting on Express's little close touch, it just epitomizes what Ground Zero are. They're just a great team. They really have so much confidence in each other and what they're doing on the ball. And they very rarely, Jake, rotate sort of all the way back. They're always looking to sort of get involved and really get back into play and help out their teammates.
Now you can see Amphis was going off the ceiling to try and get that pass. They're always really aggressive, really far forward, and looking for each other to finish off those pass plays off the back of those really dangerous kind of solo plays that they can pull out as well.
And that becomes dangerous as well when Cringe Society do play that defensive style. They can sometimes give a bit too much room and forget to challenge. Although, oh no, that was almost a goal. Decker got that one nice and high. Cringe Society's counterattacks are still the strong suit if they can get control of the ball for any amount of time.
Yeah, and you can see Drippe still so far back. We talked about how instrumental he is for this team. So I'm really hoping to see him warming up and getting that confidence, being able to push forward and get that striking that we know of him.
The one advantage here that we have for Cringe Society is we know that all three of them are such good strikers. I mean, Decker was the best striker of RLCS Season 9. He can fill that role. The difference is I think Drippe is just better at opening up the net. So really important that he gets involved in that attack.
Yeah, really important they're just using all their strengths, I guess you'd say. And obviously Jules' strength is, well, I don't know if he knows what he's doing. So that is his strength. He's got that element of randomness. He's got that flary sort of potential where at any moment he could do something you're least expecting. That's almost an opening, but Ground Zero, Torsos, they just get back in time, and they do that so often, Jake, don't they? They just claw their way back. at the last second.
Well, like you said, they're an aggressive team. They push forward. They try to get as far forward and to be able to pass to each other as much as they can. But again, Cringe Society starting to doing the same thing, and it's really working out for them.
Oh, when they have some room, they play it to perfection. Deca and Drippe making use of the fact that all of Ground Zero members were running back in a difficult position. When left unchallenged, Deca is able to get some great passes.
Great play there. I mean, it's just the one extra pass is something that a lot of teams talk about and a lot of teams say how effective it is, but it is hard to do it in that situation, isn't it, Jake? I mean, when you are that close to the net, all you want to do is put that shot on, but just that extra touch, it just secures that goal.
It just put like Torsos in that position, just such an impossible position to defend from. You could see Deca really had that top left corner to shoot at, but he saved his flip to find Drippe just waiting for him, and really well played to tie it up at a crucial point. It's going to be really tough for Cringe Society if they can't win this game and go 3-1 down.
Well, it's a tied-up game right now and a chance as well. Cringe Society have been able to get the ball behind the defenders on Ground Zero quite often, but this should hit the ground. Actually, another chance here for Ground Zero. Can they get it on the 0-second mark? A chance right in front of net. Amphiss misses. Deca, he's got it on target and it's in. Cringe Society equalized the series.
What a shot there from Deca, and just the misplays coming out. Amphiss not being able to read the ball twice there in the last 10 seconds has cost Ground Zero the game, and a lovely 0-second goal there. A great capitalization of a few mistakes. Cringe Society, take it out.
God, I'm loving this aggressive Cringe Society. It's what you've been saying, CJ. They've had a month to prepare, and they've had a month to surprise Ground Zero as well. Ground Zero haven't had, their eyes on Cringe Society. Cringe Society have been improving silently, and you can see they're not really sure how to respond to this aggressive, many players kind of forward style coming out.
And even though Ground Zero have had the majority of the possession throughout that game, whenever Cringe Society did have some time on the ball and did have room, they looked more threatening. They were able to get more shots out. And for whatever reason, whether it's Ground Zero being pushed up a little bit too much or whether it's Cringe Society with good placement, they were always getting the ball over the top and behind the members of Ground Zero. And you even saw that right there with Amphiss having the ball go over his head.
And 4 shots as well. 4 shots coming out for Ground Zero's total over that game. I mean, for any team to keep a team like Ground Zero to just 4 shots is crazy. And they're the games you have to win. You know what I mean? And for Cringe to get 10 shots, that's pretty crazy against the caliber of defense, the caliber of offense in a way of Ground Zero to put them down that end of the pitch. So that's exciting to see, Jake. And I think that's really what Cringe Society need, is that sort of offense to beat this team.
It's exciting, but also surprising because, like Yummy was saying, it did feel like Ground Zero were in control of that game, but it doesn't really feel like they had that kind of goal thirst that they normally have. They were kind of passing, not really taking their shots, whereas Cringe Society, the complete opposite and getting rewarded for it.
Well, it's been interesting to see Torsos play as quietly as he has, as he's usually very consistently able to go off the roof and set it up. We saw a couple with him and Express, but normally we see him and Amphiss be such a dynamic duo in the attack. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for him to get back into it.
Yeah, he's had a couple of nice bump plays to sort of set up his teammates, but offensively, sort of individually for Tors, we just, as you said, we just haven't quite seen him. Perhaps, the quietest player on the pitch right now so far this series. So in a way, it's concerning for Ground Zero, but also the fact that they're still playing quite well in this situation with Torsos being as quiet as he is, that has to be also a concern for Cringe Society if he does heat up.
Yeah, we're seeing Cringe Society take control of this.
Yeah, I think with Torsos, it looks like he's slipping into that kind of playmaking kind of role. Oh, that's a beautiful pass from Amphiss, but read beautifully as well from Deca. But yeah, this team really does work with Express sitting back and Torsos and Amphiss being those 2 up. And if it's only Amphiss really taking the shots, I'm worried for Ground Zero if that keeps up.
Ooh, Amphiss tried to set up a double there as well. He's usually going to hit those, and it's always worrying for the defense. A chance here for Deca, and Amphiss will just get there in time as well. Bit of confusion in the midfield as Amphiss once again going for the possession, but usually when you see Amphiss or Torsos on the ball, they're not going for a bit of possession and control. They're going for the big play.
Here we go. The Express just doesn't quite get the shot on. I'm not sure if he was going for the double touch or just the power shot, but wasn't quite on target. This could be a goal here, though. If Decker can redirect this, no, just doesn't quite have the boost here. And the Cringe side is still, they've looked like the better team so far in this game as well, which is worrying for Ground Zero. But this might be the opening. No, a lovely little save there as Torse can't quite get it away.
Yeah, they're defending beautifully on their goal line. Ground Zero looking like they're starting to get a bit frustrated with these goals that you'd normally expect to go in, getting defended and cleared, and then that counterattack again just looming.
Ground Zero have always been stronger later on in the series, but they haven't yet put that to effect. So right now, Cringe Society in control. Drippe, a chance after the bump, but Express, he recovered so quickly after that bump. He was able to get back for the save.
Exactly what you're talking about as well, Yummy. Just the bump plays coming out from Cringe Society, that added offense that they've really brought in perhaps the last, probably the last split and the previous major. They've found a way to have, a less boring offense in a way, a less default play style as you were talking about before, and a way to sort of open up even, superb teams and great defenses like Ground Zero.
See, I've never felt like their offense has been boring because I like their play of it kind of a mix up between demos and passes when they're in offense. It's mostly just that they've been a bit too hang-backy when they are on defense. They'll sit too far back at times, and it has led to series that are very low scoring. But when Cringe Society are on, they have one of the most exciting offenses as far as team play comes in.
I think it's just great improvement what we're seeing. We're really seeing people forward, and there's been so many chances this game. Decker's missed 2 chances you'd normally expect him to put away. Drippe missing a double touch. It's really Ground Zero on the back foot here. Cringe Society coming out really strong in this first series.
Oh, Amphis was trying to get that in for Torsos, but was unable to, as it will stay in this defensive half. Jules a shot. It goes high. It's going to bounce in front of net. And Drippe gets the score. Can Cringe Society take the lead in this series?
Another miss there defensively from Amphis. It was its rough touch because they were all expecting Jules to go the shot. Now, I'm not sure if Jules was intending to hit the crossbar there with that shot, but it was the difference between a golden opportunity, a goal for Cringe Society, and perhaps a counterattack for Ground Zero. Great little play there from Cringe, and it is just the offensive pressure. They've just been hounding the Ground Zero defense, and eventually, which is probably something we haven't seen quite often, Jake, is that Ground Zero have sort of collapsed.
Honestly, it feels like they're just surprised at the quality coming out of Cringe Society. Torsos was saying they haven't been scrimming each other. They've been struggling to get these high-quality scrims, and you can kind of see in their goal line defense, they're getting caught out a lot by these powerful backboards, these fast follow-ups from Cringe Society, and Ground Zero can't deal with it.
Another chance here on the attack, but with 10 seconds left, they need to make something happen as the net was wide open. They even went for the bump, but there was nobody there. No chance to score right there, but Express has the opportunity. Decker will take it away. He's even going to air dribble to make sure that Express can't keep it into center. Only a matter of seconds before this ball hits the ground, but if anyone can keep it up, it's Amphis. Drippe also keeping that one high, gets the extra touch, and Cringe Society are on match points.
Wow, this is probably not going quite as expected, but again, 2 games in a row now, Jake. We've seen Cringe Society score goals. We saw last game at 0 seconds, but this game as well in the final minute, getting that goal to put them ahead in the game. I mean, that might just be a testament to how Cringe Society aren't really feeling the pressure here. They're willing to keep aggressing even in the final stages of the game when it's in the balance. Or do you think perhaps that's maybe Ground Zero, just getting a little bit more nervous, or just perhaps not being their usual aggressive self?
Honestly, I think Drippe is starting to wake up. He was the difference maker there. He got that goal to get them in the lead. He was pushing forward more. You saw him there with the most touches in a game that was really dominated by ping pong, but on the other side of that, you're right, CJ. Ground Zero, they really don't look like their normal selves. Torsos.
We got a timeout.
They've got a timeout, and now it's really up to Jimmer. We were saying Jim has been so important. You can see him leading this group discussion, and it'll be really interesting to see how they change their play style coming from here.
Well, these have been pivotal moments throughout their career so far, where they go down, where they need a few games. I feel like Ground Zero have reverse swept more than any other team. The only team that I could think that is slightly equal to that is Renegades, because they are terrible starters. But Ground Zero have also been down in and almost out in multiple situations, including in that winter major grand final, and then brought it back from there. And I think a lot of it does come down to Jimmer.
Now, if I'm Jimmer in this situation, here we are. We're on the brink of, losing this first series, which is very surprising. What do I say? Now, I have to put myself in his shoes. What are Ground Zero missing right now? I think offensively, they're just not being able to keep the ball in Cringe Society's half. So I think that this is really a perfect situation here where we need to see Amphis, we need to see perhaps even Express really just moving downfield a bit more and just trying to open it up, trying to get some bumps, some boost steals, because I'm not quite sure what sort of, a chemistry mismatch is happening with Ground Zero, but to Cringe Society's credit, they cannot keep the ball in Cringe Society's half. And Cringe Society, for the last 3 games, they've had more shots, they've had more pressure, and they've just been the aggressors in this series.
I think they've just had incredible defense, honestly. It feels like Ground Zero, they haven't been doing their incredible kind of plays except for those first few games. It hasn't been enough to get past Cringe Society that just seem so confident, and now starting off again, Drippe so far forward to get this goal, and that's not what you want straight out of a timeout.
Not many people can beat Torsos in the air, but Decker outsped him by a mile, and he was the last defender left for Ground Zero. And I think that situation kind of gives us an indicator of what they said in that timeout. They want Ground Zero to push, or Jimmer wants Ground Zero to push harder, push further, but in that case, it cost them.
Yeah, and I mean, what a crucial goal here for Cringe Society. We talked about it after the first game or the first 2 games. How Cringe Society, they get a goal, they hold the lead. They're not too worried about scoring again. They just want to play really solid play style. And as you see, Drippe, he's playing a general sort of role now. He's going to be sitting back third man, just watching those big clears, making sure it stays in the Ground Zero defensive half here. And I mean, I don't know what Jimmer said, but this is going to be huge for Ground Zero, because I'm not seeing the smiles on the faces of Ground Zero anymore compared to the first couple games.
No, that's honestly really what I feel helps them. They have such a positive attitude in these big games. And, like we were saying, Cringe Society haven't been able to take them out in the best of 7. And to have their first one here in their most important series ever, it just goes to show that the nerves probably are getting to Ground Zero at the moment.
And very important when it comes to the fact that Cringe Society don't have that support that Ground Zero. They're showing that they can do it off their own backs as that one goes wide. Cringe Society are a team as well that are so good at keeping a lead. They'll be happy even just having a 1-goal lead here.
That was a golden opportunity, however, for Jules he pretty much had, I don't want to say he had an open net, but Amphis was facing backwards, saving the previous ball. That could be open anyway. It doesn't matter. Drippe gets the goal. Cringe Society open up a 2-goal lead here on series point.
God, and Drippe just coming in so strong towards the end of this first series. You can see him just smash that bottom right, and that's what we expect from Drippe. Like we were saying, he's that kind of player that can find those goals where you'd normally maybe not even go for it, seeing Express back.
Oh, we're getting closer and closer to this being a Cringe Society victory in the first series. And then all of a sudden, pretty much every analyst would be incorrect and wrong, including myself. And this is exactly what we expect from OCE Rocket League this season too. A lot of change up, a lot of improvement coming out, and Cringe Society putting that in full force right now.
Full credit to Jimmer, because I'm starting to realize now in the timeout, he just said, you know what, let's give him the first series. Let's get OCE a little bit more airtime on the main channel here in the OCE Championships. Why not? We'll take the next 2. Perhaps that's what the message was, because right now I'm not seeing any change, apart from perhaps, as you said, Yummy, being a little bit more aggressive, but it's come at their detriment here in this game.
I would have thought that they'd tell Torsos, hey, play confidently, mate, because he's the one that we normally expect to be going for those plays. But still seeing him kind of fill a third-man role that normally we see Express in.
I think it's tough because maybe they did say that, Yummy, but it's hard to just decide to play more confidently as a player. And I think Ground Zero have...
Drippe.
Look at his face. He knows that was a good shot. That's just Drippe against waking up into this series and showing what he's made of.
That That is a Drippe special right there. That is what he is known for. That's what he's been known for so many seasons now. Is his striking, his offensive prowess. That Yummy is perfect placement.
It's insane that he's never ever lost that. I mean, even when he was struggling a couple of seasons ago, he was still hitting bangers top corner, and they just make goals. We see it over and over again, especially in the Oceanic region. If you could just put on a sick shot, and it will be a goal. That one, Express trying to find the mechanics this time, but wasn't able to get the scoop.
He doesn't get the flick he needs, and with only a minute and a half remaining and 3 goals, it feels like Cringe Society are poised to take this first series. It's really, like we were saying, CJ, you almost predicted it, saying how this 1 month could be really strong for Cringe Society until you only gave them 5% because of it.
Well, you know, a 5%, it's still a chance. And right now, Cringe Society, they've been taking that chance. They've been taking all of their opportunities with striking like that from Drippe. And right now, with a minute left, ladies and gentlemen, against all odds, against what everyone predicted, it's looking like Cringe Society are going to be taking the first series here in this best of 3.
Mental. The first time these two teams have gone together and Cringe Society have gotten the best. And it is in the most important match. Hey, the last time we saw these guys play, it was a 4-0 by Ground Zero in the major grand final. And it was a dominant 4-0 for the most part as well. And now this is looking so dominant here for Cringe Society. And in fact, with 40 seconds left to go, I'm not giving any hope for Ground Zero.
Yeah, Jules doesn't have to worry about missing that open net unless we see something absolutely crazy. But Ground Zero looking towards those next series. I do feel like they've always played their best when their backs are against the wall, when they have to show up. And I think maybe they just came in a bit too complacent into this first series.
Getting outpaced here as well as Deca will receive that pass, and that's the second time that the Ground Zero defense has been beaten to the ball. So 4-0, 26 seconds left. And what a start to the day that we're having. We were a little bit worried that it might be a bit boring here, CJ.
100%. You know, I was thinking of going back to bed after a little bit 4-0 sort of number here. But to Cringe Society's credit, they're going to be keeping me up for a while longer. This could be a little goal from Memphis just to show off a little bit. No, that pretty much sums up the series because Yummy, I'd say that he hits that 9 times out of 10 any other game.
Yeah, he's very, very accurate with his doubles off the backboard, but it doesn't matter. Cringe Society taking control. Drippe in the lead with that one, showing that he is still amongst the best in OCE.
And Drippe given the one more pose up to the camera. That's been a bit of a curse in OCE history. But you can see just how confident he is really, keeping this momentum up and hopefully taking it down in 2 for them.
That's also a reminder that if Cringe Society were to win this set of series, then they would equalize Ground Zero's total prize money across the entire season, which is huge for them as well. Without the org, without the salary, without that extra income or support, that would be massive for the players on Cringe Society.
Yeah, and at the same time, Ground Zero have been pretty open that prize money is a big thing they're playing for. They haven't had the chance to go to Worlds, so there's a lot of pride on the line to lose that prize money. And CJ, I think it's going to hit them hard if they can't confirm this win after a year of domination.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's just for Ground Zero's perspective, for such a dominant year, we talk about them in comparisons to to BDS in terms of regional dominance. For them to not come away with at least the most prize money in the region would absolutely hurt every single member on that team. So, Yummy, I mean, it's the ball is in Ground Zero's court. They haven't quite shown, what we've usually seen from them. So, Jimmer, it's on you. It's on perhaps Torsos to step up a little bit, be a bit more aggressive. And we have to see a little bit more from Ground Zero because Cringe, they are looking cool. They're looking calm. They're looking collected.
Well, in Ground Zero, yeah, they really need to step it up. But we have seen moments like this from them in the past. In fact, that winter major in the grand final, they lost to Riot Gaming in the first series. We thought, wow, Riot Gaming are going to take this one. And then all of a sudden, they somehow step it up a notch. Torsos went Super Saiyan in that one. And they ended up taking it throughout that series in a really surprising and dominant fashion.
Yeah, I think even though Cringe Society did take that, they're looking really good. I still think you'd have to favor Ground Zero to make a comeback in this second series.
Yeah, well, we are going to actually have a quick break. We're going to be right back with that second series. Cringe Society are on fire. And how fitting is that? I couldn't call it either. The fact that you guys are 50-50 on the desk and in the chat just shows how smart you are. Are Cringe Society going to be able to keep up the form, though?
Oh, what has just happened? I need to say, I thought I was just going to, as I said, 4-0-4-0. Let's just, have a little bit of toast, have a cup of tea, and then I'll head back to bed early morning. But here we are, one series away. Cringe Society from taking all the cash in the world. And hang on, what?
Torsos was very confused. I think we all are. That is not the way Cringe Society wanted to keep up their momentum. So a bit of a strange one, but we'll keep going like that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's just an odd miss. I think it was from Drippe, and both of his teammates were pushing up. So really, really surprising to see, and maybe exactly what Ground Zero needed at the start of this second series.
I mean, I was just on my way to some, heroic motivational speech to Cringe Society about how they've, defied the odds and just got to walk away with this one, and then that happens. So interesting start here for the series, but perhaps, a goal like that might just be what Ground Zero needs. The desk is flipped on them, but they're too good of a team to ride off after one bad series. So, anything's possible from there.
Yeah, you can already see them pushing a lot more aggressive, looking like they really want to win this series. And that's really what I'm expecting from them. I think these guys do play their best. They really do kind of wake up. We've seen them come back in those loser bracket best of sevens. So I'm expecting them to come out really strong here.
What a save by Deca, but it's not enough. Oh, Torsos gets the double, and he read this crossbar bounce to perfection as well.
Yeah, brilliant recovery there after an awesome save. I mean, the fact that he saved that with Amphis still having his flip there on the air dribble is crazy, but that is the Ground Zero offense. That's what we expect from them. Even if you save that first incredible shot, the second one is going to be coming as well. Great little double off the ground there from Torsen. That's what we need to see, Jake, from Ground Zero. We perhaps saw it once last series where there was that flip reset pre-jump pass to Express, but outside of that, we just didn't see enough firepower from Ground Zero at all. And I mean, it's like they just weren't really trusting each other offensively to work on those crazy plays.
Yeah, like you're saying, we did see it at the start of last series. So I think for Ground Zero, it's more so can they keep it up? And you can see in this game that they're really looking to bring back that aggressive style and punish Cringe Society for these mistakes.
And Cringe Society, in my opinion, have been the most consistent team. Maybe not consistently the best, that's obviously Ground Zero, but in terms of their performances, they've always held a level. The reason they got here is because they'd always go 3-0 in the Swiss stage and make sure that they were top seed going into the next stage, and that's how they got their points. But that doesn't work well when you have a team like this who can step up to that next level, and Ground Zero have always been able to step it up.
I mean, this is just, it's probably what we expected from the first series. So if we forget about the first series happening, this is looking on track. But the fact that, Cringe Society, hang on. Okay, well, I'm not too sure what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen, but that might be gold. There's enough time here, Jake. There's 3 minutes left. There's enough time. There's a miscommunication there coming out. Torsos not quite reading what Amphis was doing on the ball. 2 goals, it's doable.
There's been a few silly goals in this game. You can see both teams laughing at that one. Torsos realizing the mistake he made as soon as he did it. But you're right, CJ. It feels like this game should be almost over, but there's still 3 minutes left for Cringe Society to make a comeback.
I mean, that's been the biggest problem for me with Ground Zero is the fact that they have played so aggressively front post in defense. There's so many balls have gone behind them and cost them incredibly hard in that one, but it may not cost them in the game as Amphis will get the 3-goal lead back.
Torse with 0 boosts here, still able to get the flick over the top of Deckett. That is the power of the dominance, ladies and gentlemen. Amphis with the speed, just outpacing Jules, and that might be the nail in the coffin here in game number 1.
Honestly, something's going on with Cringe Society, though. They're not backing each other up as well as they normally did. Last series, they were so good at just shutting out Ground Zero, even if Ground Zero did beat a player with those mechanics. But this series, maybe a bit of overconfidence shifting the other way now.
It may have even been that first miss getting to them, so the trust breaking down after a little bit of a mistake, and you see it once again, a double commit in defense, the last player not really sure where to go, and then a miss, opening it up for Amphis.
And I mean, what you don't want to see here from Cringe's side is yes, they do have the one series under their belt, but you just can't give a side like Ground Zero any momentum, because even if they do perhaps take this series, I mean, the momentum that Ground Zero will have coming into that third series is going to be insane. So I think Cringe really need to look to put a stop to this, and Drippe, he's trying to do exactly that.
Well, we saw Drippe, he was pretty quiet at the start of last series and made a really big difference once he started getting goals on the board. So he's the one, like we've been saying all day, we want to watch him, we want to see him forward, and we want to see him getting those goals.
I love how he's up to that ball so quickly and piles the pressure on Amphis, and yet still takes his time with the actual shot so that he can get the right angle. And that's part of the reason that Drippe's always been so accurate.
Yeah, look, you know, we've talked about it all the previous series, really, with his striking firepower. He's really been, you know, back to his old self in a way, and perhaps it's not his old self, Jake. Perhaps it's just these pressure situations, you know, when the stakes are their highest, when the money's at the highest, particularly in the OCE region. That's when you see the caliber of a player like Drippe step up.
No, I'm expecting that from Drippe and Torsos. Just in the past, they've always been like that. They've always played their best when their back is against the wall, when they are, you know, they need to perform. And it's going to be really exciting seeing them on opposite ends of the pitch and how that, you know, comes against each other.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people, I think internationally based off RLCS lands, consider Torsos a player who crumbles under pressure, but he's the exact opposite in OCE. When he's in these matches, and there's a reason he's been to every single Worlds.
Oh, and Express gets the 6th goal on the board. And I don't have the stats in my head, but I don't think Ground Zero scored too many goals in that first series. So to get 6 on the board here in game number 1 is crazy for them. And I'm not sure what Jimmer did, or if he just, you know, gave them a few energy drinks in this break, but they have woken up here.
I think, honestly, every goal that goes in, it's almost like a sigh of relief is coming over Ground Zero. I think they're finally playing how they want to play, and, you know, that first series really just wasn't what they wanted to do at all. Maybe the lack of practice, maybe the pressure getting to them, but now it really feels like they're stepping up and back to their old selves.
It's interesting to see if they can get a 7th goal, but weren't able to push it through, as right now this is just going to be dead time. With 30 seconds left, Ground Zero have well and truly done this, and it's great to see them be able to pick it up like we've seen them before, absolutely taking control, and this time with that control, with that possession, much more powerful in the offense.
100%. It is great to see that Ground Zero have shown up here in this match, because although it would have been great to see, you know, Cringe Society just walk away with it, we just didn't see the firepower in the first series that Ground Zero are known for. So now, ladies and gentlemen, watching at home, we might have a true game on our hands, because I think Ground Zero are playing at their best, and now it's up to Cringe Society to see if they can come back and match it.
Yeah, it really wasn't what we were expecting that first series, especially from Torsos, like we were saying, very quiet. Even Express not being as involved in the offense as you normally see them. It looks like things are running really smoothly with whatever they talked about in that break between the series.
Still very interesting, because at the very beginning of the last series, Ground Zero looked really strong in that one as well. We're getting some awesome goals, got a couple of very convincing game wins, maybe not as convincing as this one. But then over time, Cringe Society did bring that power back through the series. So there's still plenty of opportunity for them to adapt and bring that forward in game number 2.
Just, you know, you couldn't ask for a better game number 1 here from Ground Zero. After coming off a pretty poor series, they had the 10-15 minute break here, and you know, they came out swinging. 7 goals is nothing to sneeze at. And I know, Jake, you alluded to it earlier. That first goal was just so weird. There was a missed touch, and then Drip, I believe, missed it off the wall. It just, it sort of set up the rest of the game for me. So perhaps Cringe Society, they take that same mindset into it and they think, that was just an anomaly. Let's reset. Let's go again. We had them in the first series, but this is a different Ground Zero team for mine.
Yeah, I think Cringe Society should be able to recover throughout the series. You can see they don't have a coach with them in these timeouts, so that might be to their detriment, but they really had no control over that last game, and I think they will be able to get that back and get it to a more competitive kind of scoreline.
It's still often easier to actually take a big loss and kind of be able to understand that what you were doing was completely off kilter than sometimes those really tight one-goal losses. You cannot recognize the mistakes that you're making. You're thinking it's fine, but I guess it's not fine at all. They haven't made the adaptation. Express getting an early goal.
It is not fine at all here. Express beating Drip. Decker, he's caught front post. Jules not rotating back yet. And that's Torsos just capitalizing there. Just an open net, opening it up. And again, we just see an early goal coming out on Ground Zero's side. Huge for their confidence after a rough first series. But Cringe Society, you have to start getting worried for the remainder of this series and perhaps the whole match.
Again, just played with Decker before, so he's understanding where that touch is going to go.
Yeah, just slow rotations again coming out of Cringe Society, just not able to back each other up. And you can see how hype Ground Zero are with every goal they're getting because, like we said, they're best when their backs are against the wall.
Chance here, though, for Amphis, and you look at the dribble. He's going for the pass, actually. I thought Torsos was too far away to receive it, but you can still see the Ground Zero looking for the team plays. They've got an opportunity again, but this time Decker plays it so consistently from behind the ball, really crunches it out to the other end.
Oh, opportunity here. Drip doesn't get it on target. That's going to be a goal anyway. Don't worry about it. Jules, this is all on you, my man. What a great little second touch over the top of Express, beating two defenders. Amphis couldn't get it, beating all defenders, really. Ground Zero had no answer there to the air dribble touch off the backboard from Jules, and they do get the equalizer.
And you can see Ground Zero, again, kind of just flailing in defense, not respecting those mechanics coming out of Cringe Society, but what I like to see is that they're laughing it off in the cameras. I think that they're not going to want to make a habit out of getting styled on like that out of Jules.
Strong defense once again from Decker, and he's the man I'm usually looking for in the third man role. I think Jules has been doing a bit too much of it for Cringe Society in this game, and Decker starting to pick up the pace in that one, which will make it harder for Ground Zero to score, maybe even the adaptation that they were looking to make. As Torsos getting the bump, Amphis has a solo, but he didn't get the flip. Otherwise, it would have been a goal.
Yeah, Amphis sort of just flopping like a fish. Didn't quite have the boost or the flip, as you said there, but it's an interesting point with Decker. I think that, I'm all about car choice, Jake, and it's interesting seeing Decker, who's known as a dominance player. He switched to the Octane for the major, and also he stayed on it for this, and he looks like he was in a little bit of a rut, I'd say, prior to this, but in the Octane, he's looking really good.
Yeah, no, I think changing cars can be really good for a mentality shift because it can be really easy to get entrenched into some old habits, just do the same thing every day. But changing a car really makes you think about, like, what am I doing and how can I do it better? And like you're saying, it's really helped out Decker. You can see he's really playing well this today.
You see that contrast with Torsos always being on the Dominus. And Jules, for a while, when he was feeling in a rut, did go onto the Dominus himself, but he's gone back to the Octane, and it looks like they're comfortable with that now.
Yeah, that's our little car talk for the day. So, all those car heads in chat that love, all the customization, stuff like that, the car choice, people, the placebo, we'll call it that. We've got that covered. So it's interesting to see the pros taking that on board and perhaps, turning their form around in the form of a little bit of change up in terms of what they're viewing through their monitor. But anyway, we've got a minute 50 left, Jake. We've got a tight ball game here. This could be huge if Cringe Society can get this and wrestle back some momentum in series number 2.
Yeah, it feels like both teams have really stepped up now. We're not seeing silly mistakes from either team. We're seeing the play shift back and forth, but I feel like that really does favor Ground Zero, though. It feels like they're a bit closer to scoring than when I see Cringe Society and Ground Zero's half.
There has been a few moments where I've felt like in that attack that Ground Zero have been a bit too desperate to score a goal, and it's led to very easy clears out for Cringe Society. Oh, the mid-air demo, but it wasn't on target. Express thought that was in, and it was a very good demo, but just not enough in the end. Another demo as well.
Oh my goodness. Another close opportunity, but this is what we love to see from Ground Zero. They're going for these high-risk sort of plays, high-risk, high-reward demo plays in the air, keeping the pressure on. And Amphis, when he's stalking your backboard, there is nothing scarier. You can trust me.
Oh, another miss. Yeah, Amphis isn't going to be happy with that. No one on Ground Zero. I'm sure they're starting to get a bit frustrated at all these misses, these crossbar hits, but you can see it's still favoring them. Cringe Society really stuck in their half with really low boost.
They did manage to get that corner boost, which has done them wonders. In fact, it's done them huge. They're now at the other end. It shows how important the control of that back boost is, but even still, the low boost has meant that they weren't able to continue the attack.
And you talk about the defense of Cringe side as well. It's awesome to see just the way that as soon as Drippe did get that boost, they all exploded upfield. They were all moving up together as a unit, and that sort of counter-attack potential. And just, it seems like they're so confident, even when they're in the defensive half right now in this game, Cringe side. But having said that, a second left, Torsos gets it off the corner. Express doesn't quite get it. Just a little skim across the pitch. But we have overtime. Jake, who you got in this one?
I got to be favoring Ground Zero. Just so many missed chances.
Oh my.
What is that? Torsos so hyped at getting that one, and just, tragedy for Cringe Society. Another crazy kickoff goal.
Two Cringe Society's members walk into a bar. The setup of a joke, and honestly, I can't believe that. That was...
Just OCE, I mean.
The fact that we have had already, it's meant to be a short day. We've only got 2 teams playing. We've got it, potentially 2 or 3 series. We've already had the own goal coming out in pretty much game number 1 from Express of the first series. And now we have the team bump on the line, miscommunication to cost Cringe Society a game. And now they go 2-0 down in the second series.
Yeah.
Gummy, I hate to go the early crow here, but that could just cost them here the second series. That could cost them that sort of momentum and just the mentality. I know you talk about it before. Cringe Society, they don't have a coach. I mean, the miscommunication, they'll be looking at each other going, it was your fault, no, it was your fault. That is a rough thing to come back from.
It was just such an important game too. I was saying at the very beginning how important it is for Cringe Society to get early starts when Ground Zero tend to be at their weakest. And for that to happen, it's got to be devastating, but I think they'll be able to laugh it off and go on to the next game. But if they lose this one, then that overtime will really come to haunt them.
I think it might even be hard to laugh that one off because we're seeing a lot of silly mistakes coming out of Cringe Society. What really won them that first series was just that absolute solidness, but you can see it again. Just they're getting so confused, they're throwing themselves at the ball, and it's not what won them that first series.
Stop it. Express almost getting the double. Great save from Drip on the line, but he's got 0 boost. This has to be a goal from Tors. He's just got to muscle that one through off the crossbar. Drippe, nothing he could do there in Ground Zero. Well, they're just continuing this momentum in series number 2.
And that's why we believe in Ground Zero on the international stage. That was a backup of 4 or 5 massive plays, including a pre-jump from Amphis that could have been a goal off of Express's first double. And then on his way back, he gets a crazy back pass straight to Torsos in the perfect moment for him to set up the double himself.
You can just see just how high the potential is from Ground Zero. When they're playing their best, they're just so scary for the other team. They're so fun to watch. And, Cringe Society, they're going to have to clean up their act to, stop these chances from happening.
Disappointment there from Jules as well. Just need to get that on target. It's still a good shot, but it's an opportunity here for Ground Zero. Jules will bump out Amphis, so it sends it the other direction. And it's not it. Jules again, just going wide.
Oh, he had an absolute panic. He had a fortnight. He could have just cooked a roast in the time that he had in the air there to put that on target. But instead, he just finds the crossbar, and that is heartbreaking for Cringe Society against, up against all the odds here in this second series with the team bumps and the plays that have been happening. That's a goal you need, but there's a bump coming out on Amphis. His last back does get the save. That's huge. And Ground Zero, they've got all the numbers back now.
God, everything that was working so well for Cringe Society in that first series is just gone now. Jules not making the most of those opportunities forward, the silly mistakes instead of that rock solid defense, and Ground Zero the complete opposite. They've woken up, and you can see now they're the ones with the solid defense, not letting Cringe Society get these goals.
And they've been so much more ready for the bumps, able to recover on them. Drippe now with the dribble, but can't get around, still gets it into center, and Jules will tie it up.
Great pass from Drippe. I thought he was just going to hook shot this, but instead he just gets it up on the wall, and just that second touch there where he catches it, sending it across goal. Back post was free. Jules was ready for it. Cringe Society, they get to equalise it. That was a huge goal. They've had their opportunities this game, Jake, but at least they've made the most of that one, and they've tied it up.
That was just beautiful from Drippe. Just such an amazing assist. Like you're saying, CJ, it looked like he was taking the hook shot. At first, it looked like Jules was taking the ball. Just, we've been a bit critical of Ground Zero and their defense, but that was just them getting played.
Oh, Torsos has to get up to that one quick. It does get it out. Hey, when we've seen Cringe Society at their best, it's because Drippe is able to get crazy setups like that one where you just wouldn't expect it. The defense doesn't expect it. The Amphis going for the demos, and they're not expecting it. Torsos gets it past the last, and Express, he's put it in, but Torsos and Amphis, the offensive duo, comes to the fore.
Torsos seemingly faking the must. He goes underneath, over the top, underneath. He's throwing hurdles over the Cringe Society defense. Great play setting up Express. He just had to bury that one. Ground Zero, this is the team we love to see, the solo plays. And Torsos, Jake, the man that we were looking for to step up offensively, show us the individual prowess he's got, beating two defenders. That was huge for Ground Zero.
And he does it in just such a beautiful...
That was so strong, and it was all because of the set offenses, just like that one.
Yeah, Torsos just beautifully playing to his image as well, just faking low, not doing the flip reset. Everyone thought it. Amphis goes and gets the follow-up himself. Ground Zero playing incredible.
Somebody get this man a drink of what? He's so hot, he's just putting it on the corner, gets the follow-up as well. How do you read that?
And I thought that was in straight away off the first touch, but no one was there from Cringe Society. Amphis, the corner read was spectacular. That deserved to go in on the full, but he still gets the goal anyway. Ground Zero opening up the shoulders here, as we said before. 2-goal lead now. They're looking to move on to series point, and this could be a sweep if they take the next one as well.
I was worried for Ground Zero when it got tied up 1-1. I was thinking, wow, they're playing so well, but they're not sinking their chances. But, they got that lead. But Drippe again showing up big and keeping them in this important game.
Oh, right off the cherry. The timing great. The pre-flip to set it up. God. And even with two players there, neither of them can get up to that ball. All of Ground Zero constantly kind of at that front post, looking to challenge, but Drippe still beating them at the same time.
And they nearly called that shot a doink. So I reckon Stumpy and Cole, shout out to you. They'll be happy with that one. A little bit of a double jump there, but just perfect placement again. Drippe's striking's been phenomenal throughout this whole matchup here against Ground Zero. And I mean, if he can bring out goals like that, that's going to be what they need now. As Torsos almost puts that away. That one's open. Amphis, he extends the lead once more and just keeps Cringe Society at arm's reach here in game number 3.
Guys, so much faking, so much tricky plays coming out of Ground Zero so far forward as well. You can see Amphis is that third man, not caring to push up that far forward and extend that lead. And now with 2 minutes left, 2 goals ahead, Ground Zero surely can hold on to this lead.
A little bit of desperation too from Cringe Society, which is fair when you are that 1 goal behind with only 1 minute remaining, but it has cost them. I need to get a quick goal here, but so far throughout this game, Ground Zero have been really dominant of the possession. Decker can't quite get to that ball. It was a good opportunity, but just a bit too far away.
I mean, you talk about desperation as well, but was it a little bit too early? I mean, a minute is a long time in Rocket League, and to sort of change up the positioning, change up the structure that drastically with a whole minute left was perhaps a little bit too early. It could cost, or it's looking like it will cost Cringe Society any chance of making a comeback here, but full credit to Ground Zero. They were tested there. Great shot coming out from Drippe, drawing them back to 1 goal, but instantly, Jake, taking that back to a 2-goal lead was impressive, and make that a 3-goal lead. Torsos, he secured game number 3 here.
And they're doing it in such a beautiful way now. These aren't silly mistakes coming out of Cringe Society. They're just getting outplayed by fast, rotations, good boost management, great passing, and Ground Zero, like I said, a bit of a low-scoring first series, but they're absolutely smashing Cringe Society here.
And you kind of look back to earlier as well, where whenever Ground Zero had a potential shot, they'd go low straight towards the net, and it was so savable. But now you're seeing that they're willing to go for that one extra pass, take the ball really high, in that case well above Decker, who was in net. And that's what's going to open up the net for them. That's what's making them more unpredictable, and they may even find a 6. Ground Zero still take it anyway, and they are a match point.
And the look on Torsa's face is he couldn't quite keep that one in the air. He wanted another one. They're angry. They're angry after that first series. They wanted to show the dominance that they've had within the OCE region throughout the entire year. And after that first series, it was looking a bit shaky. They've reset, they've come back, and we did speak about it before. They've had a 7-goal game, a 5-goal game, and off the back of that, we now see a timeout coming from Cringe Society. Jake, what do they do in this situation? They're 3-0 down here, looking at the brink of, going to a third series.
It's so tough. It's just Ground Zero are just absolutely outplaying them. And like you were saying, Cringe Society, they were making plenty of silly mistakes early on in the series, but that game they just got completely outplayed in every aspect. So if I'm Cringe Society, I think you have to punish this confidence coming out of Ground Zero. You have to push your players forward and go for those kind of counterattacks to not make Ground Zero as confident as they are to push forward.
And over at the other end, though, the way that Ground Zero have picked it up, I mean, Torsos has been top scorer and getting MVP in all these games, something that we were looking for him to do. And honestly, he's a comfort player. So it's very likely for Ground Zero, they were looking uncomfortable, Torsos feeling out of rotation. Now that he's in step, it's really up to Cringe Society, in my opinion, to start disrupting that. Bring back those demos that were so successful in Series 1.
I mean, it's an interesting use of the timeout there. It feels like the momentum is just so far into Ground Zero's corner. But if you are Cringe Society, Jake, I want to throw the question to you. I mean, they have that series up their sleeve. Are you sort of looking mentally towards the next series, or are you, because it is such a mental effort to reverse sweep a best of 7. It is so hard. Are you already sort of just thinking maybe we just reset into the next series and not throw the game, but sort of just, have a bit of fun with this one, give them this series, and then really bring the heat into the next one? Or do you just really go, righto guys, buckle in, we're in for the long haul here, we're in for the reverse sweep?
I think that's probably what they're saying. I think Cringe Society are really looking for that reverse sweep, but I'm sure in the back of their heads that they can't help but be almost a bit switched off and just knowing that they have that safety net, just wanting it to get back to even. Because like you're saying, CJ, a best of 7 reverse sweep is just such a gigantic order to make happen.
It's also interesting because both of them obviously would have a long day. That's completely open, but
come on, Jules.
Ripe not able to find Jules. He still gets back to it, and they will get this first goal as they try and mount a reverse sweep.
It could come back to bite Ground Zero here, because this is sort of what we saw when Cringe Society were on match point in the previous series. They had the timeout and they came out really aggressive. Now they've gone the other way. They've been so aggressive. They've got all the goals, but that one's come out to bite them. I mean, that goal was so open there. That is not what you often see from Ground Zero. There's a demo play coming out. Amphis misses, however. He misses the open-ish net. We'll call it clopen. Close to open, Yummy.
Yeah, well, closed and open at the same time. Open, but there is a player back. And that's funnily enough what Torsos and Drippe both would call a net that has one person, but you expect to get it past. It's a clopen net.
Mm-hmm. And look, CJ, I'll throw the question back to you. Let's assume Cringe Society, they're really looking for that reverse sweep. What do they need to bring forward here to make it happen?
I mean, it's one thing to try and stop the Ground Zero, their offense, but it just feels like, I mean, we saw in the first series, they were always sort of doubling or even tripling their shots on net compared to Ground Zero. And now that Ground Zero's offense has stepped up, I nearly want to say they just have to step up the pace a little bit against this side, because they're getting beaten all the time. Chris almost misses, does get the rebound off his own bonnet to put that one away and get the equalizer, but I mean, yeah, as we said, Cringe decided they have to step up the pace because Ground Zero, they're bringing the heat, and Express, he is looking, he's no mercy here for Cringe Society in series number 2.
I call that maneuver the classics. Accidentally miss to the side and just happen to be following up and accidentally score a goal. It works out there, but Express did get that good setup to actually make it an opportunity in the first place.
Yeah, again though, Cringe Society a bit slow back, not making it happen. A demo and sounds great idea from Drippe, but just not quick enough. But we're seeing those new things, and that's what we really need to see out of Cringe Society if they want to start taking this back.
Really far back here from Express, and he does end up challenging, and there's a bit of a miss from Deca, but it won't cost them just yet. Even still, a good bit of pressure will drain the boost slowly away from Cringe. Jules secures the corner boost as they try and get the game winner potentially, but at the moment it's gone to the other end, and Cringe Society will have a chance of their own, even if they're on low boost.
And I mean, we sort of spoke about it at the start of this matchup where the close games help Ground Zero, but if we look at their track record here, and especially goals coming out late, it's actually been in Cringe Society's favour with the overtimes and the 0-second goals, and the goals perhaps in the last 30 or 40 seconds. So perhaps, Jake, Cringe Society, they're feeling pretty confident here if the scores are level towards the end of the game.
Well, like we said before, they are a confident team in those low-scoring kind of affairs. They have a great defense when it's switched on, and you can see they are starting to get back into that flow. So I'm sure that this is where they are the most comfortable, but it's hard to be comfortable at all against the Ground Zero offense. That
being said, the last time they played, Cringe Society lost both overtimes in a 4-game series. So Ground Zero certainly have that overtime, that close match history. If we do manage to get an OT in this one, Torsos looking for the busty. There's too much power. He absolutely slammed that towards Amphis.
I mean, there is no way Amphis is possibly pre-jumping that. That was an absolute slinger. That, as I think a lot would call that. It's not a bang. It's a slinger. That was huge there. That was a massive musty. So I don't think Amphis, you can't blame Amphis too much of your toss because that was huge. But it's great to see the Ground Zero going for these sort of plays. We saw it a little bit in the first series, but now we're starting to see these musty passes, the pre-jumps, the air dribbles, Jake, and that's when they're at their best.
No, it's great confidence. And but what I'm especially impressed at is it's in a 1-1 game. It's when, they can't really afford to make a big mistake, but we put the spotlight on Torsos. We said he wasn't really showing up, but you can see now that the pressure's on, he is. But this looks like it might be a counter-attack, and that's what Cringe Society needs to punish this confident Ground Zero.
Such a good dunk from Drippe. He recovers well, gets over the top of Amphis, which is the surprising part. If Amphis had maybe jumped while he was over the top, he could have saved it. But Drippe counter-attack, and now Cringe Society maybe in with a chance.
Yeah, just looked like Torsk got a little bit too aggressive there coming in third man on the shot. Usually you sort of see him take that to the wall for the solo play, but perhaps not quite respecting Drip's ability to block that save. That's a huge whiff coming out from Jules in the dying moments here when Cringe Society need everything. That is not what you want to see. Just got caught under it, not expecting the power, and Express buries that one bottom right, equalising game number 4.
God, you can see how disappointed Cringe Society are. Just silence all on their cameras. It's got to be brutal there for Jules. He's really got to be feeling the pressure. And after such a good first series, I'm hoping he can bring it back mentally, because those kind of mistakes are really tough to recover from.
Not for Jules. He always has a moment like that in a series. The Jules question mark, the where's Jules going moments. I don't know why, but it's always Jules that has a spot like that, and he's always bouncing back nice and quickly. In fact, there's been times where he's carried despite having moments like that.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's just, it's obviously not a goal you want. And I was just going to speak about it. Drip, he got that goal with 55 seconds left, and it sort of proved my theory again throughout this matchup where Cringe Society, they're just getting the goals at the last second. It might happen again here with 1 second left. Drip, he's got 100 boosts. He's going to take it up the wall. Deck is waiting inboard. Drip's got the air dribble. The bombs come out. Drip, catch it again, and he can! Another 0-second goal. Cringe Society stay alive in series number 2.
And Drippe just using that boost beautifully, sets it up for himself off the wall, outplays 2 defenders, and Decker trusting the whole way to make it happen. And Ground Zero, they're going to be kicking themselves for that one.
Crazy how close Decker was playing. He was so ready for that. And Drippe able to pancake that against the crossbar. 6-6-6. He's been a real devil throughout this series. Drippe if he's playing well, we can see how impactful it is to Cringe Society.
It's just sometimes it's your day, and even with Jules just sort of seemingly gifting Cringe Ground Zero, should I say, the equalising goal, an opportunity to take out this series in a sweep. It was Cringe Society again with another 0-second goal. These guys are looking clutch today, Jake, and it's exciting to see, because that's what you need against Ground Zero. You need these big moments, these goals where the scores are level, everything's on the line. And as soon as I saw Drip grab that 100 boost in the form that he's in today, I mean, you just knew something was going to happen, Jake.
Yeah, no, we hyped up Drippy at the start, and that's why just the impact he has on games is just so incredible when he can push forward, make that happen. I'm loving the new ball touches stat, because you can see Drippy doubling almost everyone on the pitch and really making those plays happen for himself.
And he's a major part of the team, putting pressure on the ball when he goes forward. It seems that they have found that recipe. And if you remember back to that first game where there was a giant mistake from Cringe Society in front of net, well, it doesn't seem to have bothered them so far. And Decker using the defender to score.
I mean, we spoke about do you just, go next series after you go 3-0 down? Well, Decker says absolutely not. And Cringe Society, they are forging a path here in series number 2, a path towards a potential reverse sweep. Great opening goal there. Jake, they're starting to look good. They're starting to heat up. I'm feeling something in the air.
They're starting to look good, CJ. Decker pushing forward. He had a strong first series. It seems like Cringe Society are struggling to have all 3 players really popping off, but if they could, they really do have the potential to match Ground Zero with both teams playing their best.
Ooh, close one there as well, as Amphis just unable to beat the defender Torsos. He did have Decker behind him as well. The thing that I've noticed is that Ground Zero double committing a lot more in this series, both to their improvement and their detriment. It seems that they're less concerned with playing as tight as they possibly can, but it has been what's cost them a couple of goals in the last game.
Looking a little bit shaky indeed, or perhaps I think the double commits, it's less nerves, Yummy. I think it's more frustration, and the fact that they have been so dominant. We talk about the record against the team of Cringe Society, just pummeling them sort of in every series that counts. And now on the day where, this is the day where everything matters in Cringe Society, they're stepping up. So you're sort of seeing the double commits out of Ground Zero, because I just think they're thinking, we should be beating this team. We should be beating them comfortably. But Cringe Society, they're having none of that.
Yeah, Cringe Society, they're really, not getting disheartened by going 3-0 down in the series, really making the fight happen. And Ground Zero, honestly, they're not looking too worried just yet. You can see they're still pushing really far forward, but you can really feel the momentum shift in this series.
They're not going to be too concerned after, in the last game, it was a 0-second goal decider. Obviously, they're not going to be happy, but they'll be very confident and comfortable. In fact, they are a confidence-based team. They're always very confident that they can get a win, and that's why they have been able to make a lot of late series comebacks.
And you say they shouldn't be worried, Yummy, but I mean, that's the second time it's happened today where they've had a 0-second goal. So, Jake, I sort of want to throw it to you. Is this a sort of like a structural thing that they're breaking down, or is it just the fact that Cringe Society are looking really clutch today?
Honestly, I think Cringe Society are just awesome when they push players forward. They do like to play that defensive style, really careful, but like the firepower on this team when they do push forward, you see it in those moments when they have to pull it out, and it's a bit too much for Ground Zero to handle, especially in the surprising way it tends to just explode out of nowhere.
Well, it's also felt to me like Cringe Society have gotten...
Oh, no.
No, I was about to say gotten more clutch, but they can get less clutch than that defense.
Torsos so confused that he somehow scored that. Honestly, Torsos has been passing that most of today, so maybe confusing them, but Decker can't be happy, and you can kind of see it on his face as well.
We talk about clutch in offense, but it's sort of been the opposite for Cringe Society in defense today. That was another opportunity where I believe Jules would have had the save. However, they sort of just bumped each other and fumbled it on the goal line and didn't sort of change the momentum of the ball there, just taking it all the way. Tor's probably surprised at the shot. It was a great opportunity. There's a great pass play. Drippe was watching the back post, but that is sort of the Ground Zero special. Jake, that's pitched in off the sidewall. Express gets the go-ahead goal here. Unbelievable.
Oh, that's not what you want if you're Cringe Society. Just off the 50. But again, no one ready. No one ready to back up that play. And Ground Zero feels like they might run away with this now that the lead has just been taken out of Cringe Society so suddenly.
Always that dangerous moment as you go around the corner and you can't really jump out to get that extra depth. It sticks you to the wall sometimes, and that's what happened there. No one really expecting it. And we go back to how Cringe Society have become more clutch. Remember, they lost Game 7 against Riot in the Winter Major. They lost a Game 7 against Mind Freak that put them behind on the points in the Spring Split. And then finally, when they go up against Renegades in that semi-final, I'm sure you remember this one, CJ, they win in Game 7, and they've had a couple of Game 7 wins now. They've shown that they have worked on that. And I think that might be to a huge advantage here, that they have had that struggle throughout the season and been able to specifically improve on that factor.
Yeah, look, thanks, Yummy, for bringing it up again. No, they were huge there in game number 7. They've certainly got the clutch factor. You look at plays like Drip A, just really step up in that situation. He's got the experience, and this is where we're looking, though, Jake. This is where we're looking. The 50 seconds left, the 30 seconds left for Cringe Society. They need the equaliser, and they've shown it before. They've had 2 0-second goals. They've had a couple of other goals in the final minute. This is where they step up the offense, and they can catch teams out. Here it is. Here could be the goal. Taker can't quite get it. Drip A almost off the corner there. That could have been perfectly on cue.
God, you can see Cringe Society, they are pushing forward, and it's really up to Ground Zero. They kind of dropped the ball there, but with 20 seconds remaining, Cringe Society, they will have another chance.
They're able to put so much pressure when it's coming down to these 0-second marks that they're causing double commits out from Ground Zero. But Emphas, he just goes for the cut. He turns around, surprises all of them, and that may be enough for Ground Zero to hold on. They're not going to be in defense. They're not going to be pressured at that 0-second mark, and that's a great 50 by Express that will allow them to even score a goal. And there we go. Ground Zero takes series number 2.
Huge game coming out there from Ground Zero. It's just a little bit of an unfortunate ending there. Amphis just putting the nail in the coffin, nailing the nail on the head, Yummy, as we like to say there. Just putting that one away. And Ground Zero, that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we were expecting from that team. Now, Jake, we have a 1-1 series. Of course, no matter what you expect the 2-0 sweep, you expect the 4-0, 4-0, but this is what happens on these big days. We see the series number 3. We could see this one going to Game 7 as well, but it's all in Cringe Society's court again because Ground Zero, they've shown up.
Yeah, and knowing both teams, I'm expecting this final series to be the best one yet. You can see how hyped Ground Zero is, especially Torsos after that winning goal. Cringe Society getting a bit steamrolled there, but, maybe that complacency, maybe the same kind of thing that happened to Ground Zero, just a little bit of overconfidence in the back of their mind, but there'll be no excuses going into this final series.
Oh, man, I remember Torsos having tears of joy after winning the Winter Major. A little bit less effervescent when it came to the Spring one, since they'd already qualified as the number 1 seed. But if they win this one, even though it's not Worlds and it's not the huge LAN event that they were hoping for and dreaming of, you will still see Torsos have that pop-off moment. You see it come out from all of them, just how much it means to Ground Zero. And honestly, it means so much to all of these guys. A lot of prize money on the line and only one series to decide it. Let's watch that best of 7 straight after this break. Oh, Cringe Society were in the sink. They got rinsed in the last one, but hopefully we see a fresh new team in series number 3 so that we can see it deliver. And are we expecting that, CJ?
Well, you say Cringe are in the sink. I'm looking forward to Drip A putting it in the top bins throughout this series. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. Here it is. They've reset. They've had the time to mentally reset, Jay. Cringe Society, they got absolutely wiped in the second series. First series, they look good. Ground Zero didn't look hot. Third series, what do you got for me? Give me a quick prediction off the bat.
Look, I think this is favoring Ground Zero, but both teams have shown that when they are, stepping up mechanically, especially individually, they're the ones to take it out, and you just have to favor Ground Zero with the likes of Torsos and Amphis on the team.
Yeah, there's room, I think, for some more plays coming out from both Deca and Jules, which is, in its own right, something that we could look out for. Maybe if one of those two start really upping their performance, then we will see a very dominant Cringe Society, but it feels like more of the Ground Zero members are on form right now.
And with demo plays coming out like that off the back, game number 1, that could be all the way open. I think Tor's going to be able to get back. Yeah, it's a little bit wide, but there it is. Express being a nuisance, bumpy drip off the boost. He's going to have 0, be slow back here, and this is where Ground Zero can start a counter-attack, and with touches like that from Express, they're looking pretty good. Game number 1 as Amphis takes it upstairs as well.
Look, CJ, I know we stalled a little bit on your prediction in the first series, but I want to get it nice and early. Who are you backing here to take the big trophy home?
I'm really glad you said something because I'm throwing out predictions, but no one's taking them. No one's taking the bait. So look, I really think Ground Zero are going to win, but I'm going to go Game 7 because I just want to see a great series. I want to see the two teams performing at their best. Ground Zero Cringe Society need to step up, and with demos like that, plays like that, that is what Cringe Society needs. None other than Drippe opening it up here in the final series, the deciding series of the OCE Championship.
And that's what we were missing. Get series number 1, all about the demos. And there we see them come out again, demoing the third man. A very powerful prospect against Ground Zero, who are really pushing 2 people up.
And it's just such a great way to take the pressure off yourself. It's hard to know you have to absolutely pop off to get past these defenses. So with one less player, it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Some more double commits coming out from Ground Zero at the same time, CJ.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. As we said, they were probably a little bit angry last time, a little bit aggressive, which is why the double kits are coming out. But I think in the final series, you have to think this is when the pressure's at the highest, the nerves are at their highest. I understand they just had a really comfortable series, but both teams have hit the reset button here, Jake. This is a brand new series, and Torsos, he doesn't mind. He's going to continue that dominance from series number 2, getting that equalizer here. Fantastic shot.
And it's so selfless from Amphis there. Just not at one point was he going for the shot. He knew Drippe had him the whole way, so he pushes it high, commits to the dunk, and trusts that Torsos will be there to sink it home for him.
I think that's such an underrated part of Amphis's game. He kind of knows exactly where his opponents are going to hit it. And I think the same for Express too. They're both players that have been known to get these dunk goals, these dunk setups against their opponents because they just have such a good read. And that was potentially a chance here for Torsos that may still open up.
They're just looking so calm, so cool, so collected in the offensive half. Defensively, we're not too sure just yet as Cringe Society. They're trying to stage the offensive run. There's a big miss coming out for Express and Amphis. He just gets back in time here. Cringe Society, they're not looking to rest on their laurels. They're pushing forward. They're looking to get that goal here. And, we talk about them happy with the 1-1, Jake, but they're really looking to push here with 2 minutes left.
Oh, and beautifully recovered. Amphis almost getting an amazing double touch, but you can see some shaky moments on the defense, but some brilliant passing out of Ground Zero to get them out of their half with the low boost.
I'm loving how bold Cringe Society look as well. On the attack, they're really pushing up, and that's something we saw earlier on in that first series, how comfortable they were on the aggression, how strong they were, and it feels like that's a full implementation they've got after this break.
Amphis puts that one away. Ground Zero. What is happening here, Jake? They're starting to just style. The touch comes out, the pre-jump. I'm not sure if you can possibly predict that, but sometimes the ball just falls in your lap, and Amphis, well, he's got a magnet attached to his car because it just fell straight in front of him.
That's the kind of goal you're getting casual when you're chilling, you're having some fun, you're going for some pre-jumps, and Amphis takes it out in the first series when it's do or die for them, and just...
It's open.
That's got to hurt for Cringe Society, and then just more and more for Cringe Society. They're going to need to bring it back now.
That's great communication. Amphis calling that fake by a mile. He definitely did. And these plays by Amphis, we've seen them come out, but we've seen them come out in series where they're 3-0 up in the games or they're 7-0 up in a single game, and then Amphis has some fun with it and goes wild. He's bringing that out in the most important series of the season.
It's just crazy, these sort of plays. And as you said, the trust was huge. Amphis calling the fake, and Jules just respected everyone has so much respect for Amphis that he can just throw those fakes in because Jules went so high in that, expecting the touch coming out, the dink, the redirect, and that's another open net. Express misses it, goes for the bump. That should be a goal, and that's what you do when you miss the open net, ladies and gentlemen. You just open it up for the teammate behind you.
Yeah, well played for Express. A very quick recovery there, and Jules just nothing he can do there. Express, that's really his bread and butter, those slow kind of bumps.
And I don't even know if he missed the shot. He had to get that around the last defender. Great presence of mind. and we're starting to look very similar to what we saw in game 1 of series number 2. It's really carrying away here for Ground Zero, and they even stopped this goal from coming out. Although a great infield pass, and that one gets saved as well.
Oh, and Drippe again had another opportunity. It was over the top of Tors. It was an open net, but he just couldn't quite get to it in time as Jules. He's going to play the little bump game here, and Decker last man takes an awkward touch. Ground Zero, they're on the offense again, and this is exciting to see, Jake, because they're 4-1 up, and they're not happy with that. They want to go 6-1, 7-1, as Wave Punk was talking about earlier.
No, these guys are just crazy. They just, you could see how disappointed Tors was in that 6-2 game. Oh, then that 5-2 game where it didn't go 6-2, and just they just want more and more. They want to keep that momentum up, and it's so exciting and really great signs if you're a Ground Zero fan.
They can't let their heads get away from them, but I mean, that's how they managed to win the game in the first place. A double miss. Jules definitely wasn't expecting that, and that means we'll get cleared out. Game 1 goes to Ground Zero. They're one step closer to taking the championship.
And just hugely concerning signs here coming out. I know it's only game number 1. I know it's a best of 7. However, Jake, this is trending exactly the same way as we saw in series number 2. And with the big break, it doesn't look like thus far Cringe Society have found an answer to the way that Ground Zero have been playing.
No, we talked about it early. Ground Zero, they just have something about them where they just mature as the series goes on. And this format, it's longer than these players are used to. And you can see it's really favoring Ground Zero to warm up and play their best, and Cringe Society are going to have to show their best to match it, or else this might be a quick third series.
Well, speaking of that as well, I mean, obviously, CJ, you're a player. What would it be like in a series like this? 3 best of 7s back to back. How do you think they hold up mentally?
I mean, it's really tough here because there's the endurance factor, but there has to be the mindset factor as well for Cringe Society, because with the reason why this has been so one-sided in the predictions is because when Ground Zero are playing well, Cringe Society in the past have never had an answer. And I understand they won the first series, but Ground Zero weren't playing well. And now that Ground Zero are playing well, Cringe Society, Jake, they still don't have an answer, which is why it's so hard for me to sort of tell you what Cringe Society need to do, because I haven't seen Cringe Society yet counter a Ground Zero that's on form.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in the region has been able to defend it. It's just they get the goals, they rack up, and Cringe Society, they have the skill to get these goals on the board, but like 4 against a Ground Zero that's dominating possession, it's just so difficult. I think it's really up to Cringe Society to just step up individually, get Drippe scoring those crazy goals, get everyone involved, just match this high-scoring affair.
You still see Cringe Society trying to get forward, but how easy is it for somebody like Torsos to take it out of defense on his lonesome? Even still, a chance here at Amphis will get the first goal. They are on a tirade.
This is so smart from Express. Watch this. He doesn't go off the corner. He goes the close ball to Amphis. Now, Jules was expecting the big corner touch to Tors, but Amphis instead, he half rotates close and just gets the little touch off the wall to follow up. That's the communication that you see from Ground Zero, and that's the difference between a goal and perhaps a saved opportunity there from Cringe Society. Huge play there, incredibly smart, and that could almost be another goal coming out from Torsos.
Yeah, it's really impressive just how Ground Zero can pull that off and not get confused, like you're saying. It really shows the comms. It brings out the best in Amphis, that he has the confidence to make those kind of plays, and he knows his teammates will back him up. And another fake, making it work. Torsos again reading it. The communication with these guys is just insane.
I just feel like they have the best comms in the world right now. The number of fakes they get, their air dribbles to each other, the plays that always look like one person's going to touch it and then the next person, usually Amphis to Torsos, is absolutely incredible and just throws everybody off.
It's the comms, but they've also just earned so much respect from every other opposition team in the region that when Amphis is going for a hard touch like that, every single member of Cringe Society expected him to get it. So when he fakes it, he does put it away. However, Drippe, he's trying to shut us up right now because he's buried that one and clawed the margin back in game number 2 here.
Yeah, beautiful goal. Just absolutely slammed it to himself off the ceiling. A really fast play, and somehow beats 2 Ground Zero defenders who were ready for it.
Well, one of them was getting bumped in the net, and that's what made it impossible. But you kind of talk about the respect from Amphis. They're clearly giving Drippe a lot of respect too, and wisely, even if it wasn't enough in that goal. The potential opportunity for Cringe Society going to waste there with that miss. Off the roof, Torsos didn't have his flip, but it still opened up. A miss! Oh, so unfortunate there for Ground Zero.
Oh, just a golden opportunity there for Amphis to just extend Ground Zero's lead and put them potentially 2 games ahead here in the deciding series, but it wasn't to be. And that is something that Cringe Society, they need to take that and run with it. They need to take that as a blessing and make the most of it, because they're only a goal down here with 3 minutes left, Jake, and it's certainly possible.
No, you can see that they are fighting. They are pushing those people forward, and they've got the solid defense back. They're shutting down this Ground Zero offense, and they're keeping it close. It kind of felt like Ground Zero were going to run away with this game, but there's only 1 goal in it. They can't be too comfortable.
It's been very close so far, but Express wants to change that one. They want to make it a 2-goal lead here, as I think that's more comfortable for Ground Zero. Only Cringe Society being able to hold on to the 1-goal lead, but at the moment it's just going to hang in the Ground Zero defense. They're going to have to figure out how to stop these double commits for now, or will they? Express has the flip reset, and it's the crossbar. Disappointment as Torsos still tries to make it a goal. Evans will finish it off.
He puts it away anyway, but Express, I think he made the wrong decision. He could have just got the touch over the top, but I respect the fancy flip reset effort. Amphis does put it away. The Ground Zero offense is too much, Jake, but I think for Express, that could have been the highlight play he wanted if he just got that extra touch over the top.
Well, again, it plays into those chances later on, because that's really unpredictable from Express. You and me both, we were just expecting the fast touch. That Deca somehow expecting that kind of flip reset. Again, the fast rotations coming out of Ground Zero, making it work anyway.
Express has another opportunity right now, and he's going to sink it. Goal number 4, and Ground Zero taking not just control of this game, but of the series.
Feels backflip, man, for Jules. He was certainly out of position. That touch off the wall was very hard to read, and he wasn't quite in position to get it, so I don't think it wouldn't have mattered anyway, but it's unfortunate seeing the backflip. Ground Zero, however, they go 3 goals up here. They're looking strong. They're looking solid, and we're just not seeing any answers so far in the last series or this series so far from Cringe Society.
This is the late series comeback that you always tend to see, and you just don't know how Cringe Society can bring it back, just like you said.
Again, it's like it's really the match we were expecting to see from the start. But when the games are low scoring, when they're shutting down this offense, when they aren't looking as confident, it kind of helps. But Ground Zero, you can just see that they've really just gotten better and better as the days gone on.
It's going to hang out in the midfield here as Amphis then will have the opportunity to get over the top. He doesn't need the goal, but as we've seen from Ground Zero, they're consistently pushing for it no matter what.
It's great to see from Ground Zero. They're just pushing forward. As we've said it all series, when they get a lead, they just want to pile it on. Whereas we saw in Cringe Society, they just want to, lock out the games. We've seen them play a little bit more defensively. Ground Zero, however, they're trying to go for the highlight plays. We saw Amphis just doing ridiculous pre-jump plays at the start of this game as well. I mean, Express getting demos like that, that's going to be frustrating. That could be a goal. Great save from Jules. But Jake, with 40 seconds left and game 2 going the way of Ground Zero, is there any possible way you can see a turn in form here from Cringe to try and strangle back a hold of this series?
It's so tough because it almost feels like it relies on Ground Zero not playing as well as they are. Mm-hmm. That's never what you want to rely on. You want to be, in control of the match, but they just are getting so outplayed at the moment, and they just can't seem to deal with this offense coming out.
Jules should be able to beat a lot of these players and create some great opportunities, but he's just not. Then it goes to the other end, and it just feels like Ground Zero are converting on everything.
Yeah, and just no one on the backboard there again. Jake alluded to it earlier, just slow rotations coming out from Cringe, and perhaps, with 15 seconds left, we'll let them off here. They're 4-1 down. They're not going to come back on this one. They have to hit the reset button at some point in this series, Jake, and I don't know. You asked me the question earlier, what do Cringe need to do? And it's just hard to say because when Ground Zero in this kind of form, they're so hard to play against. They almost need an extra player on the pitch, or just invent some new offensive power, just an offensive style that is going to be able to just counter this Ground Zero offense, because they're just so strong right now.
Honestly, I think it's really mentality focused as well. Jim had done such a great job with this team. It feels like Ground Zero have gotten more energized, more vitality running through them as the series goes on, where it feels like Cringe Society, that they're starting to get a bit tired. I think they need, maybe call a timeout, maybe slap themselves awake and, bring back that fire that Ground Zero are clearly bringing, but Cringe Society just can't seem to match at the moment.
You make a really great point. Why aren't they calling the timeout? They can't wait till they go 3-0 down, and they just lost 2 really one-sided games. It's surprising to me that they're not trying to reset the momentum right now.
I mean, you make a great point. I think if you do go 3 goals down, 3 games down, should I say, it's probably out of reach. But we just have to look at Ground Zero right now. They're looking so hot. Perhaps that's a sign of respect for just the quality of the opposition they're playing. They perhaps don't have the answers right now, and perhaps maybe just trying to just play around with this. This is an experimental game for me, game number 3 here. They just have to see what happens. They have to work around. I want to see Jules going for some solo plays. We obviously need Drippe striking, and Decker, he's got the solo play potential as well, but you just have to get so creative, Jake, against this Ground Zero defense.
Like you're saying, they just need something different. I think that's a great approach. Just try something new, see what sticks. I think Cringe Society, they really need the first goal. It feels like as soon as Ground Zero get a lead, with the way they play with the lead, how they're just so aggressive, it just flies away from Cringe Society and they can't get it back.
Well, they've tried multiple times at this point, but still, it's been so elusive for them. Though, with the touch here from Drippe, thought it might have been a potential chance at attack, but Ground Zero just held the ball the entire time. Going to start draining the boost away as only Decker was able to get the corner, but maybe that's enough. He'll get the shot on. Torsos there, gets the touch and gets the follow. Single man defense.
That's huge. And just shows so much confidence from Torsos here, coming out in game number 3. The final series number 3. If you've just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, where have you been? You're watching just I'd say, I think there's no argument, we are the most entertaining region. You can say what you want skill-wise, stuff like that. We're the most entertaining. Jules, this is what we need from you, brother. Show us something. Cringe Society, they get the first goal here in game number 3.
And this is what we saw in the first series. Jules playing forward, Drippe and Decker getting big clears to him, and they have the lead now. It's really important they keep hold of it.
And something always good against Ground Zero to get a quick counter-attack, because they do like pushing up, especially if their confidence levels and the aggression that they've been going for. But it's a double-edged sword. That's why Ground Zero is so good, is that if you give them the room to get on attack, they sometimes just score out of nowhere.
They've just been super the whole time. It's hard to say what Cringe Society need to do here. But Jules, if he's getting goals like that, I'm feeling it. He found the opportunity, found the opening. Torsos, though, here he goes. There's his opportunity. The double touch. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, he hits those 9 times out of 10. And when the pressure's at its highest, he delivers.
God, you just knew almost, like, even before the first touch, it was just set up so beautifully for that kind of classic Torsos double touch he's been doing for years now. And like you say, CJ, even with more pressure on the board, it somehow makes you more confident that he's going to hit it.
It was great because he was doing that in warm-ups too. That's what he was practicing. And to see it come out onto the pitch, on game, under pressure, with $70,000 on the line, $100,000 total, that is immense from Torso. So now Delphus, he backs it up. He even improves on it.
Stop it! Amphis with the flip reset, double touch, ladies and gentlemen. I just joked about perhaps OCE not being the most skillful region, but when you see stuff like that, this man is clipping on kids in a $100,000 match. Amphis, welcome to the party.
Just beautiful. I don't know how these guys do it. It's hard enough to do that in free play, let alone against the best players in OCE in the most important match. They have to play it. Another one. They're just running away with this.
Another double. Amphis over to Torsos. And I can't believe he goes to the pass back or to go for what is actually a triple touch to get that one in.
I think he went for the double off the wall because Drippe, he was waiting for the shot, waiting for the redirect, so he put it behind him and got the double and the ground pitch as well. This man is feeling it, and this, Jake, is where Ground Zero are at their scariest. And perhaps there's not many teams in the world that could have an answer for this kind of offense.
No, it'd be so exciting to watch them come up against a BDS, an NRG, Space Station, just can see what they could do against another region, because you can see just the clips they come up with is just insane.
Here we go again. He's just playing with him. He's sitting downfield. He's taking the boost. He's going off the ceiling. This man is just feeling himself. We talked about it before, Yummy, just the way that he doesn't feel pressure. Doesn't matter the situation, what moment in the game it is. He's just happy to be himself, play with confidence, and just have a bit of fun.
That's why I want to see him at Worlds, because here's this young guy who's never been to a LAN, let alone Worlds, and he's still been able to play under pressure in every single scenario because he just doesn't care. He's just having a good laugh, and all he wants is a bit of cash for whatever he does on the weekend.
Yeah, Amph just, it's so incredible. And we were talking about it before. You can see why he is just so respected. Just when he's playing his best, he just scores these goals out of nowhere. But Cringe Society's starting to bring it back, and now it's only a 1-goal game.
I mean, the haters would call it an own goal, but it was almost a great save there from Torsos. Oh, just doesn't get the touch coming out off the crossbar. It goes straight down back on his car. Great shot from Decker to put that one away and draw it closer. I mean, we've pumped up Ground Zero, but Cringe Society, they're still alive in this game. They're still alive in this series. There's a chance here to get a nice little late goal, and we've seen it so many times before throughout this matchup where Cringe Society, they've clutched up. And this is another opportunity where they have to clutch up.
And they're still showing those signs of infield passes, which I really like. When they're playing like that, they are able to take down the top teams. They combine it usually with the demos. We haven't seen them come out here, but with a minute left, we may see that go forward as Express wants to get the 2-goal lead just to prevent Cringe Society from coming back.
And a fake coming out of Amphis, not able to capitalize it on it just yet. You can see Cringe Society, they're really focusing on keeping this demo. Jules trying to take it to the wall, but it doesn't feel like Ground Zero are going to give them a chance. They're stepping up in defense too.
Oh, just a great save coming out as well from Amphis. There's the shot, there's the equalizer. Out of nowhere, Ground Zero, they're clipping on kids, but the clinical Cringe Society, they've got all the answers.
Oh, such a good first touch. Decker with a delicate touch. The defenders were expecting him to bang it in, top corner like he always does, and he's fooled them with that change of play.
Just great pressure there coming out of Cringe Society, just forcing those 2 soft clears coming out, rotating really quickly, pushing those players forward. Amphis again, still feeling very good to make those plays happen.
Tons of opportunities for both these teams, but so important here for Cringe Society. They need to win this game. Reverse sweeping for the championship, not really on the cards. So we head towards it overtime, potentially a 0-second goal, but looks like the last opportunity will go over to Ground Zero. Torsos potentially going underneath, tried to fake it out. Ephes gets it into middle, but Turpe will be the first one there. Gets it to the middle and overtime here in a very important game.
Yeah, Ground Zero, they're having a bit of fun, but they were still pretty happy to kill that one. It would have been interesting to see if they try to keep it up. But here we go, overtime. The most important overtime of both these teams, I guess, history, their careers, you could say, for both these teams since they've formed, because a win here for Ground Zero sees them on match point, and we spoke about earlier, the reverse sweep in a best of 7 is so hard, especially against the Ground Zero team. So Cringe Society, Jake, this is a must win.
Yeah, it's really, the pressure is on for them, and I'm hoping they push forward. We've seen how good they are in the dying seconds of each game, but I feel like they might go into their shells in overtime, so I'm really looking for them to push forward.
There's only been 13 best of 7 reverse sweeps in all of RLCS history, though one of them was against this Ground Zero roster earlier on. So just see how important that is. And this one's right in front, but Amphis was the first one there, and he'll get the follow-up. But this is a good attacking opportunity here for Cringe Society if they can get possession of the ball as they've drained the boost away. Decker challenging in the midfield to make sure that there's no potential attacking opportunity or even clearing opportunity for Ground Zero.
I mean, that was just ridiculous from Amphis. He missed the touch in the corner and still got a flip reset to beat his opponent. He's so creative on the ball, and he just makes it up as he goes along. But here we go, tosses on the wall. He can get a pass out, and Express was there, can't get it away. Now Amphis is deep, 1-on-1 situation. Jules, can he dribble past him? Can't get the fake. Amphis is answering every single question that Jules is posing to him.
Cool, and look, he's probably going to get a flip reset now as well. Yeah, beats everyone. Express almost follows it. Ground Zero is so dangerous, but Cringe Society as well, defending really well and showing chances of their own on the counterattack.
That was such a scary moment, though, for Ground Zero with the double commit. They did manage to pull out in time and get back on defense. Express is forward, but goes too far in front of him as we are well into this overtime. And again, a most important overtime is Drippe. It goes straight to Torsos. Jules has to get a follow-up touch here.
Not a good touch.
He manages to get just down to Drippe for the clear.
That was absolutely hard in mouth stuff there. Jules couldn't get the second touch. We know he wanted it. He wanted the catch and shoot.
Here we go.
Drip's going to be able to put it away. No, he's not. Torsos. Great save. Take a dust. Oh, no. It's off the bar again. Cringe Society. That could absolutely cost them. That was the golden opportunity.
God, that was
Saucy,
really
Wow.
Tell us what we're
for
seeing.
Drippe. So we head towards that 3-minute mark. We saw an incredibly long overtime between Queso and Solary earlier
Someone.
on. And now,
There it is.
another. Whoa! Express gets the goal. It's been cleared down. Amphis gets the follow-up. He gets the bump. And he gets the extra touch. That is insane.
Stop it, Amphis. Stop it. There's the bump. This kid, we talked about it before. He doesn't care. Whatever the situation, whatever the moment, 3.5 minutes into overtime. Cringe Society, they had their chances, but Ground Zero, they took theirs. And they move on to match point, Oceanic Championship point, Jake. They're looking strong.
God, like Amphis, he gets the bump, he gets bumped by the bump, and then still has the state of mind to pass it. It looked like it just came out of nowhere because it did, and that's what Amphis does on this Ground Zero roster, just gets these goals out of absolutely nowhere, and that's so disappointing. It really felt like Cringe Society were keeping up with Ground Zero. They were so close to a goal there, but now they have to reverse sweep against a Ground Zero playing this well.
It still looks like no timeout called. Very interesting, but Torsos in the second series picked it up, but now you're seeing the full might and firepower of Amphis, fully functional, and he is trying to take down Cringe Society in what could be a full-on sweep to earn themselves 70K.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Strap yourselves in. This is it. Championship point. The pressure's at its highest. Can Cringe Society respond, or will the best team all year, Ground Zero, just showcase to the world just how good they are? Jake, I'm pumped. Here we go. Can they do it?
Honestly, I'm almost expecting like another 4-1 or a 5-1. Ground Zero have to be feeling so good after that game. Amphis has been popping off all series, and I think Ground Zero are going to have a lot of fun to try and finish this out with a clean 4-0 to end it.
Ooh, Express almost getting the double, but it's so hard to defend when it feels like even when Amphis is making mistakes, it still works out for him, and he's set it up beautifully here for Torsos.
Right on cue, the two offensive powerhouse duo, we'll call them, Amphis and Torsos. Drip couldn't get the touch. It was a great pass from Tors off the backboard. Amphis gets the opening goal in potentially the final game for the OCE season.
And so much trust for Amphis there. He got such a beautiful touch across, but now Jules getting a chance of his own. A really beautiful double touch. Torsos even misses, and that could haunt Jules if they can't get another goal soon.
I mean, the consistency at the other end of the pitch. If they had that double, all of Ground Zero are getting that on target, but Jules has just felt a little bit off today, and mechanically, he's usually one of the best. But Ground Zero are the best mechanical trio in OCE. All three of them really high up there as individuals.
100%, and there's a great pass from Express. He had the solo bump in defense. He took it all the way down the pitch himself, off the wall, faked out Jules. He double-backed. Decker wasn't ready for the pass infield, and away. We could just be witnessing a masterclass here in game number 4, Jake.
There's so much trust coming out of Ground Zero. If you don't defend perfectly, they're just going to take these chances. They're going to score these assists, and Cringe Society, they're going to need to bring it back. But you can see just how threatening Ground Zero are with every single touch in front of Cringe Society's net.
Well, 3 minutes left, so still plenty of time for Cringe Society, but we have to remember this would be number 14 in terms of best of 7 reverse sweeps. It seems so unlikely, especially given the form of these two teams. It's kind of how we expected it to go, but what can Cringe Society bring out of their pocket? We know they're a good team. Is it good enough to take a second series of Ground Zero?
Oh, it's just so hard from this point. I mean, 2 goals down, 3 minutes left. We have to see something, but when the defense is looking this hot, when the offense is looking this hot from Ground Zero, as we said all year, no team has really had an answer to them, and right now they're looking to perform. Torsos does put that one away. A 3rd goal on the board, and it's exactly as you predicted, Jake. They're running away from this one.
Yeah, it's just brutal. Cringe Society, they're getting beat in defense. They can't keep up with Ground Zero. Ground Zero, they're trusting each other. It's just Ground Zero that they're going to want more. They're going to want to get that 6-0, 7-0, even though this is such an important game to close out the series.
I really love how Torsos slowed down that shot as well, made sure that he could put that and the perfect placement. And when you've got a player, well, you got Cringe Society rushing to these balls, it really opens it up a lot more. Halfway through this potentially final game is Ground Zero firmly in control of it.
You can see Drippe trying to get a shot there, trying to get something back on these counterattacks, and it almost works out, but Jules again missing. He needs to be hitting those if they want to make this a comeback happen.
Oh, it's just heartbreaking there coming out from Cringe Society. Again, we saw the double touch missed opportunity earlier from Jules that would have equalised the game, but again, we just see opportunities gone begging, and against the Ground Zero that is just so in form, this is just, it's true, you just have to make the most of the opportunities. As another save comes out from Torsos. Oh my goodness, there it is. Finally, we see a goal coming out from Cringe Society with 2 minutes left, 2 goals. There's still a chance, ladies and gentlemen.
It had to happen eventually. There was a triple commit that started all that one. Torsos still almost getting a touch of that one. Oh, Cringe Society, a late game comeback potentially on the cards. So they're fighting tooth and nail for this one.
And you can see, again, they're so good when they push these players forward. It's what I wish we could see from them all the time, because Ground Zero don't really have an answer to it, but this is the danger that comes with pushing forward these counterattack opportunities that Ground Zero are equally good at scoring.
Decker is here at the back. He's looking for that clear up to Jules that we have been seeing, but a bit awkward there for Drippe to receive, and we're no longer seeing Cringe Society push hard. As Jake was saying, they're now on the defense where they have been strong all series, but not strong enough against such a firepower of Ground Zero, and they have held on. They need to be at the other end.
I mean, now for Ground Zero, I think they're just going to soak up the clock. They'll probably go for some more solo plays. Jules not quite getting the touch he needs. The double commit coming out from Cringe, but I think this is what we see, what they do so well. They're such a disciplined team, Ground Zero. They have a lot of fun, but they know how to ice games out. They know how to close out the clock and kill a lot of time. Having said that, Cringe Society, they're still looking to push forward.
Yeah, and you can see they're trying to make passes happen, but mechanically it's just not as crisp as we're seeing from Ground Zero. They're not able to find each other. It's a bit too slow, and Ground Zero, they're in such a good opportunity. 2 goals for Cringe Society that have been struggling all series, and they only have 47 seconds left.
Even there, they just can't push up close enough, but that's a good shot, and Jules brings it within 1. He was struggling a little bit earlier, but now he's found the net.
A huge play there coming out, and 43 seconds. We've spoken about it all match. This is it, Cringe Society. They've been clutch up to this point in the desperate, dire situations. Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, there has never been a situation that has been more dire for Cringe Society than right here. They need 1 goal. They've got 40 seconds on the clock. Can they do it?
Oh, Express, I can't believe he gets that touch. But maybe still disaster. Evers just getting that away, and they're somehow clear.
Oh, and Torsos almost gets a beautiful counterattack. The ball almost getting gifted to him. Drippe almost with a chance as well. You can see both teams very nervous in these final seconds.
Really slowing that one down. There's only 16 seconds left. Any slowdown is advantage here for Ground Zero as 10 seconds rings. Ampha's going to keep it away from 1. Just solo rocking down the clock. Another shot on target as Drippe, the last hope here for Cringe Society. Is he going to be able to get it all the way to the other end? He can't! Ground Zero do it! They take the last game and they take the championship.
The best team all year, ladies and gentlemen. One of the best teams in the world for a reason. And they've shown up on the biggest stage of the year, the RLCS OCE Championship. Cringe Society, they just couldn't quite meet it there. But Ground Zero, they take it out 2-1. What a series, Jake. What a performance from Amphis, Torsos, and Express. And just what a cohesive unit they've been all year long.
It is just so well deserved. These guys were incredible when they formed, but they've just gotten better and better, more dominant, and you even saw throughout this series, even able to make that comeback after losing that first series and just showing just what they're made of with their incredible offense and that consistency to back it up.
Ground Zero with a massive final. They have absolutely dominated, and that's it. Ground Zero are your OCE champions.
Baby, I just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. possession. Make sure you've got it. Fever with a bad clear. Jules to nail it. This time he's not going to miss.
Hurtos off the ceiling now. We'll poke it down to Amphis, who's going for the air dribble.
Oh.
Deca, and he gets the dunk over Jules. This is a little preview of what we get in this best of 7, James. Overtime in the first game, and an air dribble bump from Torsos.
Meanwhile, Drippy the other way gets the flip reset and actually takes Torsos out. Amphis will steal it downfield to Express. Good save. Looking for a pass middle, but no one's there, and Amphis will start the drive. Does he have the flip?
Oh, my Lord.
Ground Zero off to a hot start.
Has been blocked out by Ground Zero, who now take it around the corner in front of net. It's still in front of net, and Torsos will find a freebie. 30 seconds here, and Ground Zero will have an attack. They get the demo, it's open! The gates are open! Torsos will fling it in.